There's not going to be a Julio trade. There's not going to be a Julio trade. Everybody needs to let it go. Need to let it go.
Well, I can't believe. I mean, I get that the market might not be huge, but like, there's got to be a team willing to pull the trigger.
I mean, think about it. You got to be willing to give up. I'm going to assume at least a second round pick.
Yeah.
For a 32-year-old wide receiver who has missed how many games the last couple of years, and even when he doesn't miss games, he's hobbling around, limping around. Like, I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot of teams out there who are like, yeah, we're willing to give up a second round pick for a guy that we might have for 1 year.
The problem is that the teams that have the picks aren't the teams that are willing to do that, and the teams that would want him.
Well, yeah,
they don't have the picks. Like the Seahawks would make
exactly,
sense,
that's the other thing.
But
he's got to go to a contender, and contenders aren't sitting there with like high draft picks a lot of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times contenders, they don't have a lot of cap space either. That's why they're contenders, right?
Exactly.
And that's the other thing. If they get a trade, let's say like, I don't know, a team. I'm trying to think of like a terrible team. Who's like a terrible team?
The Bengals.
Okay, but maybe a terrible team that needs a wide receiver.
That needs a receiver.
Like the Lions. Like the Lions. Let's just say the Lions said, hey, we'll give you our first round pick next year. Like, okay, sure, the Falcons would probably say, okay, have them. But Julio said he wants to go to a contender. So if you're trading them, if you're like, hey, we'll honor your wishes and trade you to a contender, then when a team like Detroit comes and says, we'll give you a first, you pretty much have to say no, right? Like, sorry. We told him we'd send him to a contender, and he doesn't feel like
Detroit did that, it would be stupid, and then Detroit fans should be pissed because, like, why are you giving up a first round pick for a guy, that's not going to help us because we're not going to win this year anyways. But unless they really think they're going to be a contender. But no, the Lions are in tank mode. Just watch the Lions. The Texans are clearly the worst team in the NFL. The Lions will be second worst. They'll accidentally win 2 games just to screw themselves out of the top pick, kind of like the Jets did.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying like he for sure isn't going to get traded, but I think him getting traded is not as likely as everybody thinks. Like
it's not a foregone conclusion. I'll give you that, but like Tennessee just makes too much sense. They've got to have something they're willing to give up.
Well, apparently not, because that's the other thing. Like, these things don't take weeks.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows what the Falcons want. You know what I mean? It's not like this thing, it shouldn't take like weeks. Like, if the Titans and Falcons are even talking, which I haven't even heard a single report that they've been talking, but if they are, it's not like one of those things where it's like they should be haggling for weeks. Like, the Falcons know what they want. Like, hey, we want like a first or second round draft pick and maybe a player. You know what I mean? It's not like
yeah, what is there to talk about? Like, either you want to do it or you don't. But
yeah, so I mean,
they could be waiting. I mean, if it's true that the Falcons have a couple of teams interested, then they could be waiting it out and just seeing like kind of, who pushes like the most chips in. It's possible.
Well, I saw a thing where the reporter said, like, the Seahawks were doing their due diligence, aka the Seahawks were like, hey, it's like when the guy in your Dynasty league puts like Christian McCaffrey on the trade block or something, and you're like, let me see how desperate he is. Maybe he'll take like my third round, 2021 pick or something, right? It's like, yeah, you have to check, you have to ask, because if you just don't ask, you're an idiot. And then he goes for some ridiculous trade, you're going to feel terrible. But when they say the Seahawks were doing their due diligence, that to me was like, the Seahawks were never truly, it's like one of those things where like, if they offered the Falcons like a crappy trade and the Falcons said yes, it's like, sweet, we have Julio. But if the Falcons in any way are like, no, we need something decent, the Seahawks were like, nah, we're out. Like, they weren't really trying to trade for him, right?
Yeah. It's like, are you sure? Do you really need a first round pick?
Yeah.
Falcon, yes. Okay.
You sure you won't take our third and like our second string corner? Like, you sure it's not good enough for you?
Mhm.
Right? Like, you got to try. You never know. You don't know how desperate the Falcons are. You got to try.
That's true.
So that's just how I'm feeling now. And it's not like, I know Julio said he wants to be traded to a contender, and I'm sure the Falcons are willing to honor that. But again, are you gonna trade him for pennies on the dollar just to help out Julio? Or are you gonna get to the point where it's like the season is a couple weeks away and you're like, Julio, look, dude, we tried. Let's just restructure your deal this year. We'll move that guaranteed money to next year. You'll still get your money. We could try again next year, maybe.
They'll honor whatever the best deal they get is. That's what they'll honor.
Yeah, but I don't think Julio is just going to accept moving money around for 3 years. Like, if they offer to, like, their offer is going to have to be more money or more guaranteed money. It's not just let us restructure your deal.
I'm just saying move the guaranteed, because that's what they did with Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. He's getting the same exact amount of guaranteed money. They just moved it to next year, so they have more cap space this year.
Yeah, but I don't think Julio is going to want to do that. Like, he's not going to say yes to that. Like, you're either going to pay me my 15.
What's his alternative? Don't play and don't get paid?
No. So he has the option to play right now under the contract he's given.
Well, that's true. That's true. He could play hardball and say no.
Yeah, and then he's just like, if you guys can't sign your rookies, that's not on me. Like, y'all, that's the office. I'm going to play, get my 15, and then you guys can try and sell me next year, but you're not going to get you didn't get much this year. How much are you really going to get next year?
Well, yeah, they're going to get even less next year. That's for sure.
That's the thing. If they don't make a move, then they're stuck with him. Okay, fine. We didn't trade him. And then he doesn't want to play there. You have a malcontent wide receiver who's supposed to be the best player in your offense. And then, or he gets hurt again and you did the same things last year. Like, he's there, but he didn't help you. Or he's, my toe is really bothering me. I'm going to have to sit for the next 10 weeks. It's like, then they didn't get anything out for him. So that's the risk they take is having him and basically for nothing when they could have at least gotten something.
But that's the risk. You're right. But this isn't, again, like the thing I was talking about whenever we talked about it last time. Like, in the NBA, the risk is far, like, the risk of not trading your superstar player is far, far worse because they have so much leverage in the NBA. They can literally just be like, fine, I'm just gonna walk next year and go wherever I want and get paid millions and millions of dollars. So I don't care. Like, literally a superstar in the NBA, and we've seen it where superstars have had injuries or not felt like playing or be DNPs because they know when they hit the free agent market, they're going to get the millions of dollars, right? They're going to get it. Like, it's cool if I don't play this year because next year when I'm a free agent, I'm going to get millions and millions of dollars. It's fine. I don't care. Football players don't have that luxury, right? Football players don't have that luxury. The teams have all the leverage in the NFL. It's the players have no leverage. It's starting to change a little bit with the more guaranteed money, but it's a lot harder in that.
Yeah. Only a quarterback would have that kind of clout where he could really make the difference. A wide receiver is not going to really change whether a team's a contender or not. Yeah. Quarterbacks are the only ones that really have leverage.
Yeah. So,
all right, is everybody on?
I think he's on. Yeah. Arsenal said he's on the YouTube. He said he'll be good to draft. But what about Buster Boom? Is Buster Boom here? Also,
right here.
Yeah. Okay, nice. And Vagoon. Here, I'll start.
Vagoon's green.
What's that?
Vagoon is green.
I know, but he was on Tuesday's draft.
I'd like Christian McCaffrey, please, at the 1-2.
What's up, fellas?
What's up? Who's that? Was that Francis? Was that Austin? What was that?
Francis.
What's up?
What's up, man? Yo, that Jonathan Taylor trade did not go through.
Yeah, that's what always happens.
Oh man, this guy he offered it to me, then backed out.
That's the worst.
I know. I was like, what? It's all good though. I like DJ Brown.
It's like they offer the trade, you say yes, and they're like, wait, why did you say yes without like negotiated. It must be too good of a trade. Never mind.
I thought it was too good of a trade. That's why I had to second guess myself. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, in
These
that
guys were you
format.
offering me Jonathan Taylor?
Oh, why did Vagoon leave? You didn't have to leave.
He'll come back.
No, it says Team 7 now. He bounced.
He's like full on left.
Yeah, he like left the whole thing.
Vagoon, I didn't mean for you to leave.
Well, now I got to get somebody else.
Well-
Is he still there?
Mikey, you're on the clock if you can hear me.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I couldn't decide.
But you got
just make sure you're not on auto.
no, he's not.
Okay.
Should
I
we
know.
pause it and get somebody for the 7th?
Yeah, I will when it gets there. I'm posting on the YouTube. I don't know why he left. Is he on the? Whoa! Haven't seen Adams
Hey.
go that early in a
You
while.
want me to wait to make my pick?
No, I can just pause it.
Oh, okay.
Is he on? Is Vagoon on the? Oh, wow,
Oh.
that was fast.
Yeah.
Is Vagoon in our
Discord, I don't know off the top of my head.
dude?
I think he
Remember,
is.
unless he goes a different name. Sometimes people have different
I know.
usernames for this and that.
Yeah, there is no Vagoon.
Yeah. Could have a different name.
Does Thomas Slav have inside info on Aaron Rodgers resigning or?
Oh, I mean, Aaron Rodgers isn't getting. Okay, you can convince me Julio's getting traded. Aaron Rodgers is not getting traded.
I know.
Every
Wow.
time I get like Zeke or Eckler in the first, and then Devontae Adams in the second, I'm like, okay, sweet, I just got 2 first rounders. I'm like, nice, nice.
What happened to Bill? Bill's not in there?
He had
No,
something come up, I
Bill
think.
jumped out late.
Oh. Thought we were gonna get the Bill grades today.
He's busy. Been real
He
busy.
hasn't
lately.
been. Yeah.
I'm surprised
Right,
Barkley
Barkley's
hasn't
gonna play
failed with the news that he'll miss two or three games.
What's that?
Isn't Barkley missing like 2 or 3 games to start with?
No, they said they're going to
Ease him
he's
in.
not gonna miss any games. They just said like something to the effect of like they're gonna limit his work in the early part of the season. But dude, I've heard coaches. No, here's the thing. You got Saquon Barkley and Devonta Booker. Okay. You can say like you can have like the coach can even have the coach can truly believe in his heart of hearts that he's gonna ease Saquon Barkley into it. But when it's the third and the fourth quarter and you need some people to make plays and you're looking at Saquon Barkley and Devontae Booker, you're just gonna be like, screw it. I've seen it happen so many times where coaches have said like, yeah, we're gonna limit their snap count, and then the guy plays like a ton because you're trying to win the game.
Now, if he's having issues in training camp and stuff, then I'm not going to draft him in the 3rd.
Yeah, but as of now, it's nothing. Like there's been no setbacks. There's been no issues. They're saying he'll be fine for week 1. He'll be healthy. He's already running. I'm pretty sure. It's just the coaching staff said something like, "We're going to ease him into the season." I didn't say ease him, but something to that effect. But I don't believe that type of stuff because I just feel like
And then they say that now, and by August they might say, "Hey, he looks really good. He's fine." Forget what we
exactly.
said.
And we're talking about easing him into the season in June. So
Now the Gibson thing, that's a little different.
yeah, that worries me.
What I don't get is he's had the whole offseason have surgery. Like, I don't understand why he just didn't get
Some
surgery at the
guys
end
wondering
of
that
the
try to
season.
avoid it. Hope it heals.
How many preseason games are there? Is there 2? Or
3 now, right?
3, yeah.
3, yeah.
So their first game is the Falcons, New York Giants. I think the schedule I'm looking at count preseason games, so I'm trying to figure it out.
All right, so he said he's good with JT there. He said he'll let me
Oh,
have
You find someone to draft for him?
Jordan's going to draft, and he's going to be on the Zoom here shortly.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just realized you got Henry at the 6. That's pretty nice, Nick.
Yeah, I was surprised that he fell that far.
D-Hop.
Usually
Wow.
taken at least within the top
Wow.
4.
Okay.
All right, so Jay's new. J001, right? He's new.
I think
He's been in
here
before.
Yeah.
Is he? Okay.
That was easy.
Oh, that's me.
That was easy.
You're up.
I'm sitting there watching the picks and I'm like, okay, that's okay. I've been going early tight end too much lately, so I'm gonna buck that trend.
Oh, wow. Now you could take him here and just be like, look, I got him in the second round.
Yeah.
No tight end.
No tight end.
Take players I almost never get.
Oh, here we go. Oh, Cam Akers. Okay, that's probably more where you should go. Okay, now
You're high on Akers this year. Like I think he will be good, and I do think he'll be in that top 12. I just don't know. I don't know how much like there's only so much the offense of the Rams can produce, and deciding that value, who goes where.
But I mean, what running back on the board would you take over Akers right now?
Don't mix in, obviously.
Wait. What running back?
Don't
Oh,
mix
that's
in.
on the board?
That's
Oh,
not hasn't been drafted
no.
yet. Would you take over Akers right now?
No.
Like the answer is none. I'll just let you know the answer is none, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about guys like Joe Mixon.
Did he mean to take Joe Mixon there?
No. Hold on.
Okay.
No. You might not get Metcalf, Nick.
I'm trying to get in my pick quicker. It's like trying to get in the snap before a review.
Like I think Akers in that is totally fair at that spot.
He's in my opinion, he's the last running back that doesn't have a question mark by him. I would have put Antonio Gibson in that category too, but now with that,
No, you can't.
All right, you're in luck, Nick. He took Justin Jefferson, so you can still take Metcalf.
Awesome. I like that. Thank you, whoever it is. You said Jay's picking for him, right? Thank you, Jay.
Yeah. The thing with Akers, like his situation is pretty. I mean, he might not get like. Oh, sorry, I have a pause. My bad. I'm like, why isn't he picking? He might not get like every touch, but he's going to get the bulk of the touches for the Rams.
That's the thing. He's one of the last, like you're saying, Austin. He's one of the last guys could be a workhorse, because we saw at the end of the season, like Darrell Henderson just sat there and watched. Right, he didn't even touch the ball. Now Malcolm Brown's gone, so yeah, Akers is the last of the guys, and that's why honestly I have Akers over Chubb, because he's going to catch the passes and he's going to stay on the field more than Chubb. And even though Chubb's a safer pick, he doesn't have to me the potential to necessarily be a league winning pick like Akers does.
yeah, and Malcolm Brown last year he ran the majority of like the routes out of the backfield, so I would assume that Akers would just step right into that role. So, I'm on the clock here. Okay, who's there? Okay, Keenan.
A lot of blue in this round.
Telling you, the receivers keep creeping up.
Might be the highest we've seen Evans.
Yeah.
Usually is still in the third.
That's true. Well, if Gibson is iffy, or whatever he's going to be, we figure that just helps McLaurin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot's gonna come. It's so early still. A lot's gonna come down to how these guys look in camp and stuff. So if he's like pretty limited in camp, I'm definitely gonna probably stay away from him. But if we start seeing him in camp, looking good, then I'll probably be back.
Well, the one I wasn't giving it much thought until I read that one from that doctor that I posted in the Discord, where he said, like, best case scenario, he's fine. More normal scenario, he deals with this all season, and that was the one that was like, oh, because we even saw last year when he was dealing with that turf toe, he wasn't the same, right? He wasn't the same.
Mm-hmm. That's the kind of injury that lingers and bothers. It won't keep them out, but it'll limit their effectiveness, and that's worse because they're in your lineup, taking up your RB1 spot or maybe your RB2 spot, and not doing what you expect. So I've always been bad about that, about saying, oh, it's supposed to be a 2-week injury, I'm gonna worry about it. I'll cover those 2 weeks, but it lingers, it limits them, and so guys with warning flags going into even the preseason, I'm just not even going to say, oh, it's a good value. I'm out. I'll take a guy who's healthy.
Yeah, it's better just to, yeah.
It's just not worth the headache.
Although he's still on the board here, Austin, if you want him.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit early for this guy, but I'm gonna go here.
Yeah, so I will say after the Allen Robinson at wide receiver, there's a drop for me. And
Huge.
so
Sure.
I was like, between Julio, Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper might be in there, but I've picked him up a couple times. So he was the only one I really felt like I could take him and I'd be fine here. So I just looked around and just chose George Kittle.
Yeah, because like right now I'm happy knowing that I have two. I mean, obviously, as long as Saquon's healthy, I have 2 running backs that are each going to get 20 touches a week. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, I don't see how I know in our drafts people are like, oh, the early type. I don't see how you pass on Kittle or Waller in the 3rd round. I just don't see it. I don't know how you do it.
Because that's who I was deciding between a running back there or going with Waller, but I'm actually pretty high on a couple of the tight ends in kind of that 5th round range. I like Hawkins a lot. I like Pitts a lot. So
yeah, we say that every year. Every year we say that, and
somebody's going to.
We're looking back saying, "Oh boy, that was
I know."
terrible.
Well, I mean, look at Kittle last year. He didn't help out a lot of people. So.
Well, that's true. I mean, injuries happen, but.
So I personally actually have Hawkinson as my 3rd tight end. Over Kittle.
What?
I do not trust it. Now, let's say Kittle plays the entire season. I think he's the tight end. I think he probably is tight end 2.
Well, then you have to assume he's going to play the whole. You can't. Here's the thing, you guys, about injuries. You can't.
Yeah.
You have to assume they're going to play the whole season, because otherwise, what's the point of even drafting him?
Because in my opinion, he is injury prone. Like we say, oh, you can't say people are injury prone. He is injury prone, in my opinion. The way he plays football, like he plays a style that he is going to get injured a lot, in my opinion. So that's
what makes you think he's injury prone? Like besides last year.
He got injured the year before that too.
No, he wasn't.
He did. He had the shoulder issue the whole year.
Yeah, but he still played.
He played, but he was
only missed prior to last year. He only missed 2 games in his career.
Yeah,
my big issue with injury prone, not injury prone, is it's such a thin argument, because a guy can go from, like, Dalvin Cook was injury prone, no one would touch him, and now he's the number 2 overall pick. Like, Dalvin Cook was injury prone college and early NFL career, and now people are like, maybe Dalvin Cook could be the number 1 player this year. Like, injury prone is such a.
Is he not injury prone? Because he's yet to finish the season, though.
Yeah, but he missed 1 game. I don't think people care if you miss a game. It's like people miss it. It's football. It's football. People get hurt. Right?
I mean, if you had him on your team, though, he misses the playoffs last year for you.
No, what week did he miss? 13, 12?
I thought it was 14.
Maybe it's 14, but it's okay. If you had Dalvin Cook, you should have had a bye anyways, right? So it's okay. But the point being, like, lots of players missed games. Like Nick Chubb missed games. Zeke missed a game. Jonathan Taylor missed a game. Saquon Barkley missed
Mr. McCaffrey missed half the season.
Christian
He wasn't
McCaffrey
injury prone.
almost an entire season. Like Austin Eckler missed games. So didn't Aaron Jones miss games? If I'm not mistaken. But anyways.
Yeah.
It's a contact sport. Everybody misses games.
Yeah, it's a brutal sport. But anyways, Jordan, you're up.
So
What's
we're
up,
saying,
everybody? How's it
we're
going,
saying, like,
everybody?
Chris Carson isn't injury
What's up?
prone at all.
No, but but if he plays 16 games this year,
But he's not, though. That's my point, I guess. That's my point. He's
but
not.
we don't know that. You don't know that.
And if
for
Chris
sure.
Carson goes out and blows his knee, people are going to come back and blame you, my friend.
Yeah.
I'll take
Like
the blame.
if Derrick Henry misses like 12 games this year, he's gonna be injured. People are gonna say he's injury prone next year.
Okay,
Hey, Chris, we're on pause, by the way, on you.
I know, because I'm waiting
Well,
for.
yeah, I
we
can't make
keep
a
talking
pick
about
'cause
injury.
it's
We're talking about
yeah.
something stupid like injury.
who's
wait
the
for-
better chance of getting injured, Derrick Henry or Chris Carson?
Chris Carson.
Chris Carson.
But see, you guys say that because Chris Carson always gets hurt. But I would
Is
say
he injury prone?
Derrick Henry's style of play, it's gonna happen. Like it's just going. It's just
Especially when you get 400 carries.
It's not if, it's when. And if it's this year, if it happens to be this year, suddenly he's going to go from a machine who can't get hurt to an injury-prone running back. It's just the way people think, and it's the wrong way to think.
He's like a suburban SUV. It's like 200,000 miles on it. It's like, oh, it's been great. Never give me a problem. And then one day it's just going to blow up like on the middle of the highway and it'll never work again. And then you'd be like, hey, it was great while it lasted. And that will literally be the last time you see it.
Right,
he's not injury prone, but one day he's like, it's going to end. So it might be 29 years old, it might be 30, who knows? But
Let me make my pick real quick so we keep this
we
thing
need a
rolling.
pick here. This draft is
I'm between three guys because there's such great value here. I normally would go wide receiver here. I'm going to take Gibson, though.
not worried about the toe, huh?
Not at
he's
all.
not injury prone for sure.
How many games did he miss
Look,
last year?
Okay, here's the thing. We should use a different label. Injury prone, you could say that, okay, that means the guy has a history of injury. That what we can't focus on what happened in the past. It's injury risk. Who has a great injury risk?
People are worried about
looking
turf
forward
toe
because
June.
it's about the type of injury, because certain injuries are more likely to recur and certain injuries, are just kind of fluky things. Like, you break a pinky making a tackle, what I mean? That's just a freak injury. That's not a risk of being injured again in the future. But if it's like a hamstring injury, that's something that could be aggravated, right? Chris and I, we talk about this all the time. We hate hamstring injuries because they don't qualify as serious injuries, but it can keep a guy out for 4 weeks. And then when he comes back, he get hurt again. So, you have to look at what type of injury it was. That's part of it too. A concussion, that's something that's, might only keep a guy out a week, but you have to be, careful with that. A guy has a history of concussions.
Well, Brandon, like Brandon Cooks, for example, like if he gets another concussion, he's going to be out. He may be done 100% if he gets another one.
Yeah,
They got the Billy Bob tracker up on the scoreboard for him.
there's certainly more risk, but I do find it ironic that you took Saquon Barkley in the first round and then you're worried about George Kittle injury prone.
Well, again, I said I'd take Saquon Barkley now, but let's say
What I mean is, like, he missed literally every game last year.
No, and I'm not saying there's not some risk, but again, with George Kittle, okay, what happens? They switch over to a rookie quarterback after week 3. I mean, there's
George Kittle still gets the targets.
Well, that's if you want to argue that for Kittle, then I'm 100% okay with it. I may not agree, but I'm 100% okay if that's your reasoning. Like if somebody wants to come to me and say, hey, I'm nervous. They have 2 good receivers. There's a rookie quarterback. We're not sure the situation. I just like this guy a little more. So that to me is like, whether I agree with you or not, I'm like, that's good process. And that's how you should be thinking. But when you say like, I'm just worried the guy's going to get hurt. Dude, Najee Harris, we don't know. We've never seen Najee Harris play an NFL game. He might go out there and break an ankle in week 1. Like we don't know, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
The way you got to look at it is if George Kittle is healthy, you have a dominant advantage of the tight end position because anybody could get hurt on any given week. You can't look at it as injury risk. You want to look at it as this guy can dominate for my team in the tight end slot, as opposed to anyone else that doesn't have him.
Buster Boone sitting there still in value.
Darren Wall, I know Buster
Yeah.
Boone has gotten the best. Well, I mean Hopkins not really value, but Akers, Waller.
Yeah, the Akers Waller. Like,
I mean, you could have swapped the two probably. It still looked the same.
That's true.
I like how at the end, the last three, we've all got the same build. That modified 0 RB, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
If Trey Lance is starting though, what does George Kittle's volume actually look like? Because that's going to be a run heavy offense.
Well,
100%.
that's why I'm saying that's the question you should be asking if you want to.
No, I'm not saying I'm like 100% what my issue. I'm saying there's multiple issues in my opinion.
Mahomes is fine.
So
Sure, you going
I've never taken Mahomes there, so we'll see how it looks.
All right.
So my rebuttal to that was the same question with Garoppolo, and so I'm not worried. When Garoppolo got there, they were worried that Kittle he wasn't going to be conducive, or how was it going to look? Would Kittle still get targets? That was the same question when Garoppolo first got there, and he was just fine.
Garoppolo had played more than 17 games at a non-Division I school. I'm still uncertain what Trey Lance looks like throwing the ball, and if he's going to be how ready he's going to be when he gets in there. Actually,
well, and I don't think they're going to be in a rush to play Lance. I think they will play Garoppolo until either it looks really bad or until he gets injured.
So week 3.
No, well, if he gets injured week 3, yeah.
No, he'll look really bad for the first 3 weeks.
Now, look, if
the
there's a
thing
guy
about-
who maybe you could say is injury prone. Is
I was just about to say because Garoppolo isn't
he'll
injury
get hurt.
prone, right?
The thing about
Yes.
Garoppolo, and I think this is why the 49ers went with Lance. And obviously I don't know because I'm not in the 49ers organization, but Lance is the complete opposite from Jimmy Garoppolo. Lance is like, are you going to draft Tyler Lockett or are you going to draft Jarvis Landry? Jarvis Landry, nice and safe. You know what you're going to get every week.
Wow.
Tyler Lockett.
You know which way Jeremy goes.
But Tyler Lockett, crazy week winning upside, but you're going to have your ups and downs. And I think the 49ers look at Jimmy G and they're like, he's fine, he's safe, but he's not that guy. Unless everything around him is perfect, he can't win us games, just by, and I think they look at Lance and say maybe Lance is raw, maybe he has some issues, but he has that ability that Jimmy G doesn't. So I think if they're out there, they're 1 and 2, they're done. They're moving on. They're not out here trying to they're trying to win a Super Bowl right now.
Chris, you're gonna love this one right here.
You gonna pick another injury prone guy?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a snipe for me, and I actually still needed a second running back.
I mean, okay, here's the thing.
At 410 though, that's ridiculous.
I mean, I think it's
Not
okay.
really.
I think it's okay for him, but I still think there's guys I would take ahead of him.
At the running back position?
Yes.
Who?
Okay, believe it or not, I would take David Montgomery over him.
Ooh.
Jordan, you're gonna love that.
Ooh.
Music to my ears.
I would take
between
Miles.
David
I would take
Montgomery
Miles.
and-
I know you guys are all low on Miles Sanders, but at least Miles Sanders A hits the home runs and B catches passes. So I would take Miles Sanders.
Until he's the
I think
third
what I do
string.
here is I take DJ Moore and just hope for the best.
To me, Jake. I mean, again, if you look at those last 5 games, if you take the Week 17 game when Cincinnati was in full, we don't even care mode, and he still only got 13 carries in that game. 13 carries. He's scoring touchdowns and getting you 13 fantasy points. That's not even a ceiling. That's his floor. He needs a touchdown just to give you a floor.
I just think he gets more work this year, and that's my. If he doesn't, then I look back at it and I'm like, okay, yeah, I was wrong. I look at it, okay, he's a rookie last year, he's gonna get more work. That's just my way.
But why didn't? Okay, so my question to you, and that's fair. You have your arguments, but my question would be, why didn't he get more work down the stretch then? Because the situation down the stretch was exactly the same as it is now. Mark Ingram was not getting any playing time. It was just him and Gus Edwards. So why didn't they give him more work down the stretch? Like, why would they say, well, we'll wait till year 2 to give him more work? And I'm just asking the question to hear.
I mean, you again, you may be right, but some coaches just don't trust rookies to like some others do. So, I mean, your point may be 100% valid. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying some coaches, we've seen it in the past where one rookie looks much better than the other person on the team, and they just will not give the job to that person.
Yeah, like
Bruce Arians last year.
Bruce Arians is one of those guys, but down the stretch, that first David Johnson's rookie year, David Johnson took over that backfield, and then he was like the guy. Like I can totally understand that point early in the season, but as the season goes on, you're gonna play your best players, and I'm not saying J.K. Dobbins isn't better than Edwards, but I think the Ravens, like Edwards averaged over 5 yards per carry for his career. Edwards is actually a good running back.
Sure.
So
yeah. I don't disagree, but like, let's take a look at even like Jonathan Taylor, who through the first 10 games was borderline cuttable. What if their coach continued that same thing all the way through?
Well, then the thing with Baltimore is we know who the running back is, and it's Lamar Jackson.
But the thing is, I'm not as high on Jonathan Taylor as everybody else. So that's a bad example for me. But the difference is they did lean on Jonathan Taylor more. And that's what you usually see that's why I'm worried about. That's why I'm like, well, I don't know why everybody's in love with DeAndre Swift. They didn't start leaning on him more down the stretch. Cam Akers, they started leaning on Cam Akers more down the stretch. That's why people are excited about him. Look, I could be wrong too. I'm wrong all the time. I'm not sitting here saying like I know what's going to happen. I just say why. Like my question is, why would Baltimore do anything different than they did last year when it's the exact same situation?
No, it's true though. He says there's some coaches that he's a rookie, and they could say, okay, he's going to take a step forward, in season 2. It might be a small step, but instead of 15 carries a game, maybe it's 18 carries a game. That gives them a little bit more advantage. But the thing that might help them is they have some actual receivers now, and they're going to put Lamar Jackson under center a little bit more. They're going to try to actually like have some sort of passing game. So that just might help the offense as a whole. You know what I mean? It sounds like they might try to make Lamar more of a traditional quarterback, not a traditional, but I'm saying a little bit more. So they might give Dobbins a little bit more of the carries. So I just think he's, I'm not like crazy about him. I don't think he's going to be, a breakout player, but I'm a little higher on him than Chris. I think he's he's a solid RB2 that you don't have to worry about. So
I would argue that if they do throw more, that's even worse for Dobbins, because if they throw more, it's not going to be dump offs to Dobbins and Edwards. They're going to throw to those receivers that they drafted inside, right? They're not going to. So I would argue
the tight end,
because that means even less.
They were hyping up Devin Duvernay in camp today or a couple days ago too.
Yeah, I actually liked him last year. I thought he'd have a role. I was wrong. Maybe year 2.
So my only issue with the Dobbins pick is that it's your third running back, and so I know people are like, "Well, you only need 3 wide receivers," but that we have that extra flex spot, and so like J.K. Dobbins, say he performs the way you want him to and stuff, he's always just stuck in that flex box. If Harris does what he's supposed to do. Or you're going to have that now? You're going to have that debate between Saquon, Najee. And let's just say someone in your 8th or 9th round actually hits. Now you have that just real weird question mark of, well, do I play this person or this person, this person or this person? That's the decisions I don't like to make when 2 people are firing off, and then all of a sudden I pick the one, and then on my bench the dude goes off for 30, and the guy I picked only scored me 8 points.
Yeah, you're going to be in the spot that my team's in right now, where our flexes are going to suck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I like having a third running back who I can play just because it is a position that is so prone. Now I'm like, every time I say prone to injury, I'm like,
no, you're right. You're right about running backs. No, it's actually been proven that running backs miss more games and their injuries tend to be more serious than wide receivers. That doesn't mean wide receivers don't have serious injuries and don't miss a lot of games, but over like by position, it's been proven that running backs miss more games, and when they get hurt, their injuries tend to be longer lasting injuries. So you're not wrong there.
Yeah, and it's just it's a position I like to have, I guess, depth at personally. But
yeah, but my so I totally hear you on that, and of course you need that depth. But my thing is like because of that opportunities open up for other running backs throughout the entire season, and it's much easier to predict those opportunities. So that's why I'm okay rolling into the season being weak at my RB2, because I feel like I can find opportunities throughout the season because of those injuries. Whereas like let's look at like let's take a team like the Rams. So we know Woods and Cup are the guys. Let's say if one of those guys gets hurt. And we saw this last year, right? It wasn't like Josh Reynolds or Van Jefferson became Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp. It doesn't necessarily happen that way. It's a lot tougher for the wide receivers, right? Oh shoot, I'm on the clock. Whereas like when you know Jeff Wilson's going to start for the 49ers, you know Jeff Wilson's going to be a solid play that week, right? You don't have to like it's more predictable. I know he can have a crappy game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, and you can always spend if you see like if there's a guy you really like. I mean, there's going to always be like one or two guys that end up on the waiver wire, and you can go out and spend the majority of your budget, your waiver budget on that too. So
yeah, so that's why I'm like, I mean, look, my team today is terrible, and I'm gonna be in that position where, my flex is probably gonna be really bad. That's what happens when you go, running back, tight end, wide receiver, running back.
Yeah.
Did you prefer a receiver where you chose that running back, that second one?
To me or Chris?
Oh,
Chris. Sorry.
Me for sure. I just decided to mix it up and take Joe Mixon there, just to mix it up. But yeah, for sure, because now I could be looking at like maybe like T. Higgins, DJ Moore as my wide receiver too.
Did you mean to pick
and then Robbie Anderson as my flex?
Chris, I don't know if you heard me, but I'll take Tyler Boyd, please.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
No worries.
I know we're doing a lot of chatter tonight. Boyd at the 6'6". That's good.
Good job, Nick.
Yeah, as my wide receiver 3, that's pretty consistent production there.
Nick, I thought you were going to take Dak.
No, I like Kyler Murray a little bit more.
Yeah,
I also like Lamar a little bit more because I have Dak. I have Dak as the QB5 behind the 3 guys or the 2 that were already taken, and then Murray and Lamar.
Yeah, I just thought you'd go a little homer. Or I guess I was hoping you'd go a little homer. I was like,
This wide receiver board right now is disgusting.
Yes.
It's
that's the problem we have.
It's so good.
You took 3 running backs. I took a tight end and 2 running backs. And now, we're just now drafting our wide receiver 3 who we have to play.
Yeah, I would much prefer having looking at the board now. Had I gone like CeeDee Lamb over Najee, and then I would have been, fine with Dobbins there. I think that would have been a better bet.
Yeah, the good news is in your normal drafts, it won't be like this.
Yeah, I can't even draft any of these wide receivers here.
I know that's the problem. It's like
I'm just gonna go Mark Andrews there.
Oh, there you go.
Nothing wrong with that. What is that, tight end 5-6? I mean, I'm low on Mark Andrews, but I still think he can be tight end 6.
Oh yeah, that's exactly where my thinking was. I think I have him as my tight end 6. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna take him.
There he is. Trey Lance. Oh, you're in that spot too, Jeremy.
Yeah. It wasn't looking good, but I took Lockett. I feel like the Seahawks will have a good enough offense and produce enough points to where I'll be happy. I know him and Metcalf, but it'll depend on what coverage. I feel like people are going to cover Metcalf more now this year.
That doesn't matter. They did that last year.
What's funny is I used to love drafting in the top 3, and now I much prefer drafting at the end.
In our drafts, it's better.
Yeah.
In our drafts, it's definitely better. Because I mean, look at.
Ooh, I could take the stack.
Like, look at Pierre over there. He's got Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Chris Godwin. Maybe not my favorite there, but at that spot, Deontay Johnson, Chark, Davis.
I think Pierre's got the best team so far.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something spicy here. I'm gonna take a stack.
So just wait. We'll see if my guy drops to me.
I think taking a QB wide receiver stack is a great idea. Trying to see his team. I think I actually really like Mikey's team.
Yeah.
He's got Kamara, got 3 really good receivers. He's got a good tight end, and his flex, Jalen Waddle, has tons of upside.
Yeah.
Who else do I really like here?
And I think he's gonna get a good RB2 whenever he chooses one.
I like Jordan's team a lot. I mean, except for Gibson. But if Gibson's 100% good to go, then that team will be really good.
The thing is, people are worried about turf toe in June. Like,
well, but the thing is with turf toe is not like it's one of those things that it doesn't, like Pierre was talking about. It doesn't derail your season. But if you saw him last year with turf toe, he was not as good. It's just harder, especially for a running back. And I don't know if you saw, I posted in the Discord a tweet from a doctor who basically gave like the 3 cases. Like, best case, it somehow fully heals by week 1 and he's fine. Probable case, like the most likely case, he deals with it all season. He has to wear a plate just like he had to wear it last year too. It limits him. He might not miss any games, or maybe he misses like a game, but he's just not as effective as he could be. And then the worst case, of course, is that it re-aggravates it and needs surgery.
Right.
So,
and 2 things with turf toe is like, one, let's say if it is something that is nagging, it's something that he's going to have to cut off. Like every single cut he makes, that toe is going to be an issue.
Yeah, that's where it limits him.
And 2, it's like there's like grades to turf toe. Like you can have like minor, but then like if you have severe turf toe, like if he aggravates it and it becomes worse, like you have to have surgery on that. Like, cause it's like the actual ligament that is messed up in the toe.
I think the thing that worries me is that it's still an issue.
I'll take Antonio Brown.
You know what I mean? Like that it's the off season and it's still an issue.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and that's what's saying. It's one of those injuries. If it's the same area over and over again, that's when you get worried. You know what I mean? It's not a different random injury. It's something that's lingered. So,
but he's probably worth the gamble at the 3-7, honestly.
I think if it was something that he was concerned about, and I'm sure he's had 101 doctors give their perspective on it, he would have already had the surgery in the offseason.
Well, that's what we were saying. Like, why didn't he? Because he'd probably be 100% now. So maybe maybe he got advice not to. I don't know.
Either that or he re-aggravated it already.
Yeah. This spot right here is so bad.
It's the worst. The 8 and the 9 are the worst spots.
Well, this guy's still on the board. I'll just take him. There's no receiver. I mean, there's receivers I like, but it's too early for him. It's like, oh my God, it's so bad right there. My team might be one of the worst teams I've drafted.
I'm in the same boat right now. You know, it's bad when you're looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown. When you're scrolling and you start seeing those names and it's just, oh God.
I wish I got Devontae Smith in the 5th round, but keeps going so high now. I shouldn't have drafted him.
Crazy.
See, I'd much rather gamble on like one of these late, like Chase Edmonds or something in the 8th or something like that than have serious concerns about my wide receiver. Even my wide receiver 2 right now is like.
Exactly. That's why like it's like, okay, Joe Mixon, like, is Joe Mixon going to be like, let's say, let's take somebody, Like, I don't know, who's somebody who's kind of like, okay, let's take like Trey Sermon. Let's say Raheem Mostert gets hurt and Trey Sermon is a guy. Is Joe Mixon going to be significantly better than Trey Sermon for fantasy?
You said
No.
Joe Mixon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's healthy.
No, not if Trey Sermon's the back.
No,
If
I'm saying if Raheem
goes
Mostert
down,
gets hurt and they're like Trey Sermon is the guy in San Francisco.
he's an
Mixon,
RB.
Mixon will be way better.
You think so?
Mixon's still better.
Yeah, oh
than
my
him.
God,
Yeah,
yes.
Mixon's
I'm
better.
talking about for fantasy. I'm not talking about as a player. I'm just
Yeah,
talking
no,
about for fantasy.
absolutely.
For fantasy,
He's the
Trey,
pass
Trey
catcher.
Sermon
He's
runs a 4.7 40 and can't catch the ball.
Well, okay, maybe Trey Sermon was a bad example then.
Yeah.
Okay, what
Mixon
about
would be so much better.
Josh Jacobs? Let's say Kenyon Drake gets hurt and it's all Josh Jacobs. Or let's say Michael Carter. Let's say Michael Carter's the guy.
I mean, even with Jalen Richard back there last year, he was the RB8.
Yeah, because of touchdowns though, and those can come and go. And if Kenyon Drake steals some touchdowns from him,
Yeah. Well,
let's say Michael Carter. Let's say Michael Carter is the guy in New York. Is Joe Mixon going to be significantly better than Michael Carter?
Probably, yeah.
probably yes.
Significantly. We're significantly.
I mean,
Like,
they
what do you-
both
Like
they
how
both
many
have pretty
fantasy
bad
points per week?
offensive
How many
lines.
fantasy points per week better do you think Joe Mixon would be than Michael Carter if Michael Carter was the guy in New
Like
York?
5.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's not. I mean, that's a lot. That's like 50 yards better.
I would give
Or a
like
couple
Mixon
more
like
passes.
18 points per game.
And you would say
Carter
Michael
would be
Carter
like
only 13
13.
points as the starting every down running back for the Jets.
Yeah.
for the Jets, yes,
Because they'll be
it's the Jets.
losing a lot of games and they'll probably try to air it
It's the
out
Jets.
to
And Carter's not going to catch as many
Mims,
passes as far as Mixon.
Davis.
Now I do
Or-
agree.
You
with
guys
your
are a lot
argument.
higher on Joe Mixon than I thought you were.
I will agree with your argument. If Josh Jacob
Yeah,
isn't
hold
in the
on.
timeshare,
I'll take Raheem Mostert.
oh sorry.
No, we're good. If Mostert's still on there. Okay.
If Josh Jacobs gets that backfield back to himself all again, he can go above Joe Mixon. The only bad thing is Mixon's still going to have that passing work, and with it being a PPR league, that's where the edge goes to Mixon. But I would say they would be like next to each other, even still, because he's going to get so many opportunities that it's just going to be unreal.
But Joe Mixon, his best year was like, what did he have? Like 1,000 yards? I mean,
I don't even think he's ever had 1,000.
I think he had 1 year with 1,000 yards.
I mean, I'm pretty high on Joe Mixon, but even last year, getting all the touches, he wasn't like.
He had he had 2 years over 1,000 yards.
Are you sure? I thought he just had the one.
Nope, 2018 he had 1,168, and 2019 he had 1,137,
Wow, I'm
Okay.
impressed.
and that's rushing. I'm not even adding his receiving yards.
Anyways, my point being, you guys are a lot higher on Joe Mixon than I thought you were. Jeez, you guys might be higher on Joe Mixon than I am. Okay, but let's say like James Robinson. Because let's not forget there was a time when Rashad Penny was drafted in the first round and everybody thought Chris Carson was dead. Let's say they go into camp and they're like, wow, Travis Etienne isn't really as good as we thought, and James Robinson is really good, and James Robinson is getting most of the touches.
I'll bow out of this one because I'll go homer on you. So
And he's a league winner here because he's going in the 8th, 9th round.
Yeah, but my point being, like, you draft these running backs in the 3rd round. If you look at running back scoring every year, just look at it every year. It's almost the same every year. You have like 3 to 4 guys maybe that just crush it. Then you have like another 5 to 6 who do really well, and then everybody else is just like really smushed together. Like it's like you're talking like 5, 6 guys within a point of each other.
Right.
Like there's not that many guys who crush it. And same with wide receivers. It's not like there's just not that many guys who crush it, right? So that's why I say, like, I don't think, like, if Michael Carter is getting all the touches in New York, do I think Joe Mixon will score more fantasy points than him? Yes, but I don't think it will be like a significant amount.
I think with Joe Mixon, we know what type of player he is. The thing with Michael Carter is he's a rookie. For the most part, I try to avoid rookies in redraft just for the simple fact of we don't know the type of production that they will have at the next level.
Well, that's fair.
I try to go with safer floor guys.
Is knowing the type of player Joe Mixon is a good thing, though? I mean,
Well, I didn't say that. I'm just saying you know what you're getting with Joe Mixon when you draft him. When you draft Michael Carter, is the unknown factor of you don't know how his skill set will translate to the NFL. I mean, even when he was in UNC, he was splitting touches with a back. He wasn't a workhorse guy. He wasn't a 3-down guy. So I don't see him being a 3-down guy with the Jets. They could rotate in Coleman. They could rotate in Pirine. They could rotate in, these other guys to share the workload.
No, I agree with you on that. I was just trying to throw out some examples to say, like, when you draft these running backs in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, oftentimes guys pop up who in the later rounds or who weren't even drafted that are.
Oh yeah, there's such a high bust rate in the first few rounds of running backs.
Yeah.
Last year it was like only 4 of the top 12 running backs that got drafted finished in the top 12.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that was due to a lot of injuries, CMC, Saquon.
Well, that's the thing. Running backs get hurt more often. Like wide receivers get hurt, yes, I know. But running backs get hurt more often. It's like been proven. So.
Man, I thought if I left him alone and took him in the 10th, or I thought he would make it back to me in the 10th, but Russell Gage went right after I picked too.
I'm curious to see where his ADP is by August when Julio's still in Atlanta.
Back to the 12th round.
I was trying to decide between Cooks and Gage on the 8-9.
I'll take Darnell Mooney, please.
Oh no!
I'll let you have Zeke, and I let Nick have Metcalf. I gotta take a couple guys.
Nice.
So am I the only one who thinks that I guess I'm just a believer in the guy, but am I the only one that thinks if Trey Sermon is the guy in San Francisco that he's an RB1?
I wouldn't say RB1, but he'll be solid.
Yeah, he won't be an RB1.
Niners the type of offense. Even if Sermon is Mostert gets hurt, they'll bring in somebody else to still split carries. Like he won't get 25 touches a game. Like that's not how their offense works. So he, when you say the guy, there's some teams that just don't have like an RB1. Like you say, he's the RB1 and the RB2. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't think he has that kind of upside. And like Jordan was saying, he's not like a trailblazer. You know what I mean? He's not Miles Sanders. He can't rip off like 80-yard runs.
I guess Raheem Mostert, who can also rip off 80-yard runs, and
sure.
Raheem Mostert can rip off 80-yard receptions, right?
I mean, Trey Sermon ran a 4.740. Defensive ends are running 4.5s now.
I know it's terrible. I don't know.
I guess I look at the 1 week with Jeff Wilson last year, and I'm like, if he can just fill that exact role, and everyone else is hurt, then.
Well, that's the thing. You know that. That San Francisco running scheme is great, right? They hope you don't need that blazing speed because you're going to have wide open holes to run through. Obviously, if you have the blazing speed, you can take it 80 yards to the house like Raheem Mostert, whereas Trey Sermon might take it like 40, 50, 60 yards and then get tackled from behind or something. But he also will get goal line opportunities. He might even get goal line opportunities with a healthy Raheem Mostert because he's much bigger.
Yeah, no, I think that's what his role is going to be exactly when everyone is healthy. So
I don't know about RB1 though. I just need that to me, my RB1, if I'm gonna give a guy RB1, he's got to do that little he's got to catch passes. He's got to have that ability to
Sure.
I think high end RB2 would be more like it.
Going on with that, now that I know Austin is super big on Trey Sermon, if I get him in our Dynasty League or I were to draft with Austin, I would definitely keep him, wait for the big game, and then I'm selling Austin Trey Sermon.
The one person I'll say I'm really high on, and I'm just saying this because I'm sure other people are really high on him too, in Dynasty specifically, is Javonte Williams, just because he has that 3-down back potential. And I think this is obvious. I'm 100% pretty much sure this is Melvin Gordon's last year in Denver. So that's probably
his last year in the NFL.
Yeah, it could be, honestly. Could be.
Yeah, I love Javonte Williams. He was my number 1 running back coming out.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're in this pretty much the same.
I was so pissed when Denver moved up and took him in front of Miami. You have no idea.
Yeah, apparently Miami was going to take him. Yeah, so
Who do you want?
That's a case of a guy where you might want to not. I mean, it depends how early he goes, but like in a redraft league, like he's not worth being picked in like the first, 5 rounds really, because beginning of the year he probably won't be the guy. So and it could be like a Cam Akers situation where the first half of the year they just ride Gordon, and then eventually he gives way, but by then he might get dropped, or you could trade buy low on him. So it's just like what Jordan was saying. It's like you don't know what's going to happen. It's not worth spending an early pick on a rookie, because I'd rather take a chance on one of those guys later, like a Michael Carter or something like that. But I'm not getting Najee Harris. Just like last year, we were both like not touching Edwards-Helaire, not spending a first-round pick or a second-round pick on Jonathan Taylor. We're just not going to do it, and and it wasn't worth it.
I'll take Michael Gallup, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not huge into taking rookies in redraft. Dynasty, obviously, I'm all about the rookies, but in redraft, I like to have guys that I know what role they have, what type of production they can give me week in, week out.
But don't we know what Najee's role is going to be?
Yeah, I think we know now.
Behind the worst offensive line in the NFL.
I know, but he's still going to catch, if he catches like 5 passes a game. I mean,
well, catches 5 passes a game. You're doing cartwheels because he's catching 90 balls. He's like,
yeah, that might be a little.
But I get your point. I do think he's probably looking at 15 to, like, for Najee. Like, I could make a case for him being a 20+ touch guy who scores 10 touchdowns, and everybody's freaking out about him next year. He might not have the efficiency. He might not put up he's not going to put up like 1,500 yards. He might only put up like 900 yards, 1,000 yards. He won't have the efficiency with that many touches. But I could also see a point where the Steelers just fall into that trap of throwing the ball 40 to 50 times. And yeah, he'll catch his passes, but he might only get, 12 to 15 carries. And he's more like a mid to high end RB2 type.
Yeah, both scenarios are definitely possible.
Yeah.
Although
when you ask about Najee Harris, you say, what do I think about him? Like, when I say I usually avoid rookies in redraft, it's just because Najee Harris is going too high for me. If he busts and you're taking him in the 3rd round, that's killing your team.
It's like,
he doesn't even
know. Sorry, can you shoot?
Who do you want?
Can you give me Jamal Williams?
I like that pick.
Yeah.
He doesn't even,
I was looking for him and
he has to bust,
But I think if you're
look at Clyde look at Helaire last year. People were taking him in the first round. He didn't even bust, but for a first round.
I'm trying to get off of it, but apparently
he didn't return that value at all.
Yeah.
I do think Najee Harris is a better prospect than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, though.
Oh, for sure. People just freaked out about Clyde because he went to the Chiefs.
Clyde was going. In my home draft, he went 6th overall. I'm taking Najee in the 3rd round.
Crazy. Yeah, the thing about 3rd round, if Najee gives you high end RB2 value, you're probably not going to be happy, but you'll survive. You'll survive. The people taking Najee in like the 1st round or early 2nd, if he gives you like high end RB2 value, you're in trouble.
I drafted in leagues. It happened. Obviously, I saw the draft on Tuesday, but people draft like Joe Mixon in the 1st, and it's just like, I don't get it. But I saw a team that took Joe Mixon and Najee at the turn. Like, it's like,
yeah, that dude was new. I think he was just drafting off ADP.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing with that would be, I definitely wouldn't want that as my running back core.
Well, what's different is things always go in cycles, right? Back and forth. Like last year, all the rookie running backs were going way too high, right? Everyone was all crazy about Edwards-Helaire just because where he landed. Jonathan Taylor was going to be the best running back in the league. And, there was 5 different running backs everyone thought was going to be the RB1, right, as a rookie. And so this year, because they kind of flopped, I think people are backing off. And because there's so many unknowns and Najee is like clearly RB1, there's really not a lot of clarity after him. Like an ATN kind of went to a weird spot. Like because of all that, I think now you can get better value for rookie running backs. So, Guy like Carter or whatever. Go ahead, Jordan. It's your turn.
I'll take Robert Tonyan.
You really don't want Joe Burrow, huh?
They keep giving them to me.
I know. No one wants Joe Burrow. You just don't want him.
And take him as your last round pick just to make him happy.
I think 4 rounds in a row gave him to me. It's just because he's so high up on the ADP. He's 76th overall, and we're in the 130 range.
I mean, I like the Darnell Mooney pick at the 9-7.
Stinger.
What's up?
Singer's been lurking.
Dude, creeping in the corner.
Did someone take Brandon Cooks?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah. Trying to find it. Oh, he went 8-9. Mikey boy got him.
I figured it's a terrible team, but they got to throw to somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to be losing every game, so.
It's just who's throwing it. Like, because there's a big difference between, what was it, Davis Mills and Deshaun Watson. So if it's Davis Mills, I'm not touching anyone on that offense.
If it's Tyrod Taylor, I'll take Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I mean, if Deshaun Watson is out, like I think they're gonna want to like lose every game they can possibly lose to get a high draft pick. So,
well, they'll do that no matter who's in.
That's very true. Yeah.
Oh,
I love the running back room. The average age of like the running backs is like 28, 29.
So the youngest running back on that team is Philip Lindsay, and he's 27.
Like, we're just gonna grab as many old running backs as possible and put them all on our roster.
Hey Jordan, let me know who you want here so I'll make my pick and I'll set it.
Right, so I can tell you my pick and then you'll snipe me.
No, okay. I'm taking 19 Hines. I doubt you're taking 19.
Demarcus Robinson.
Okay.
I already sniped you on Devin Duvernay.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Nice.
And actually, Ale sniped me on Darrell Henderson. He was going to be my pick.
It's funny. Demarcus Robinson is like the 1900th ranked player. You can't even find him when you scroll.
He's like, when I'm on my last pick in best ball, I need a wide receiver. He's like one of my go-to guys.
Where is he at?
Going 2 running backs early and getting Patrick Mahomes, I'm actually okay with this team.
See.
Look, you got good enough receivers. Like I'm liking Boyd more and more that spot as a third receiver. He's really solid.
Yeah.
So that's
I like Antonio Brown, but
that's my flex.
Oh no, Stafford.
You can rotate him, Mooney, Gallup. I have decent flex options.
yeah, that's the thing. You're probably going to be mixing and matching a lot. But I mean, I got Rager and Parker as my flex or some running back. So
I think it really comes down to if Gibson is healthy and has a dominant year too.
So if we're projecting Rodgers to stay, I think this guy is just shouldn't be undrafted.
MVS, nice. I have so much MVS in best ball.
And the fact that Lazard goes above him just really is just, I'm like, what are people watching? I think MVS
Who takes Alan Lazard above him?
Huh?
Who takes Alan Lazard above him?
I've seen it in a couple places. I'm like, what are y'all doing? MVS is clearly the two.
I haven't this year. I haven't taken any Lazard this year. You should be proud of me, Chris.
Yeah, I have a lot of MVS. Like he goes.
We talked
around
about him. Didn't we talk about a couple episodes?
Yeah, I think we had him as like a late round sleeper.
Yeah. I like him like that last round if you can pick him up. Now, obviously, if it goes a little bit later, you're gonna have to take him not with the last round pick. You're gonna have to take him in that 12 to 14 range.
See, the thing with those guys is they're like 4th or 5th in the pecking order.
Ooh,
MVS is second.
no,
No,
MVS
he's not.
Who's ahead of him?
Robert Tonyan, Aaron Jones, both ahead of him.
No. Tonyan is not above MVS.
Okay.
Tunyon only had 50 catches last year. He just scored 11 touchdowns. It was insane.
Yeah.
The problem with
MVS is what he is. He's like a poor man's Tyler Lockett, basically. Like he'll either catch a 70-yard touchdown or he'll do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say I had to put MVS in my lineup for like 2 weeks last year, and he gave me like 1 point.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, no, he's not.
He didn't score under 7 points last year.
MVS?
Yes. In PPR
50% of his games, he probably had 0 points.
I'm pretty sure there was. I remember a couple weeks he just did not score a point.
Okay, hold on. He had one game at 4.82. So in PPR it was 4.
That was probably the week you played him.
Yeah. I was exaggerating when I said 1 point, but yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, he usually averages like 7 to 8 points. Like he's great for a late round pick. And then he can give you, like, if he catches a touchdown, it's a nice week.
Chris, you gonna grade us up?
No, who wants to grade tonight?
I think Pierre should grade. When's Pierre?
Ooh, that'd be good.
If nobody else wants to.
All right.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Let's go, Pierre. Grade it.
All right. Well, now I'll say this will be my last grading assignment of the school year because today was the last day of school. So summer vacation starts tomorrow. But
Yes, it was.
Yours just started?
Yeah.
Are you a
I
teacher?
know some places is. Huh? Yeah, I'm a teacher.
Oh, nice. What do you teach?
I teach the gifted students at elementary school.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. It's
Happy
a
for
lot better
summer.
than just being in the classroom. Huh? Yeah, I'm ready for summer. All right, I'll just go 1 through 12 since I had the 12th spot. Arsenal is Arsenal. He's not on here, is he? I don't think. Okay.
I don't know. He's on the Zoom, I don't think.
I think he's on the YouTube, right?
Yeah, he's on the YouTube.
All right, Arsenal. So at least I know you're listening. So you got the 1 spot. That's an advantage. I think McLaurin and Robinson, that's pretty much what you get at that spot, right? You're going to get some of those receivers, maybe Keenan Allen. So I think those are 2 good ones. I'm not crazy about Claypool personally, but as your wide receiver 3, I think he's fine. And then Sanders and Williams, that's a pretty good interchangeable pair. You know, like I said, you might be going with Sanders early in the season and Javonte Williams later in the season. So I think that's fine. I personally would have gone Montgomery instead of Sanders, but not a huge difference. It's not going to ding you too much. Good depth at receiver. I think good upside at running back. Dylan's one of those picks we talk about. If you take a late running back, that's the kind of guy you want. Aaron Rodgers, great value. Hard to screw up the 1 spot. I don't think you did it. So I'd say an 8. I think that's pretty good. All right, Jeremy. Here we go. Payback time. No, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, what are you saying?
All right. So Evans, that's probably the earliest we see Evans go. I mean, we know because you hate Godwin, so Evans is your guy. But I think that's fine. Like I said, I'm not going to say that, you know, for sure Allen Robinson's going to outscore him or McLaurin. You know, he's solid. With Kittle there, you know, you have to look at it differently. Like, you know, when Chris took Kelsey or whoever takes tight end, you kind of have to look at the receivers differently. So like DJ Moore is your wide receiver 2. Like, I don't think anybody loves that, but he's really more like a wide receiver 3 because you have Kittle, who is essentially a wide receiver 1. So, and I'm actually not as down on Moore as some other people. So, you know, your roster is a little more volatile with guys like Lockett, obviously, you know, Kittle being injury prone, and then Connor, we don't really know who he's going to get. I think what I noticed is you take the same guys later always, like you love Mike Williams and Russell Gage and of course Marvin Jones. I would say try and, you know, mix it up a little bit and see how you feel about some of those other guys. You know what I mean? Because you know you can get Mike Williams at that spot. But you know, it doesn't hurt to try on something a little different. You know, like I try not to pick the same players too much just to see how I feel about it. It just kind of helps you get a feel for, is this really a guy I'm married to at this spot if he's there, or maybe I like this guy just as much. But so as far as overall roster, you're solid at running back. You have really probably the highest floor at running back, I think, out of almost anybody. The receivers, it's a little iffier, but you do have Kittle. So I go 7.5. All right, clapping cheeks. So we talked about Najee. I don't hate Najee at the 3. I don't know about taking 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds, but we already talked about that, right? So you got Judy as wide receiver 2, then you got Landry, Bateman, Gage. Like, you don't really have a clear cut wide receiver 3. Landry is kind of borderline, right? Like, he could be a wide receiver 3, but you don't love him as wide receiver 3 because then you're depending on a running back as your flex, right? Like, you're really hoping Najee Harris pulls through all year and that Dobbins is solid as your flex. If this was 2 wide receiver instead of 3 wide receiver, I think that'd be different though. You know what I mean? But like, are you okay? Like, you like having Judy at the 2 and then you're okay with your receivers after that?
I think Judy is like a really solid wide receiver 3, probably with 2 upside. And then, like you said, I think Landry is probably in that like 24 to 30 range, maybe even like 24 to like 36 range. He could probably end up anywhere in there. So I mean, obviously I think my wide receiver 3 position is, I threw a bunch of darts hoping one would kind of hit, but yeah, that's definitely a major kind of hole on this team.
Yeah, I think this is a case like this roster. It's not about the value and the players themselves. It's more about the settings. Like, if this was not 3 receivers, or if this was half PPR or standard, this team I think would get a bump up. You know what I mean? Because Dobbins is going to be more valuable in standard than a full PPR league. And, you know, you can mix and match your receivers a little bit more if you didn't have to start Landry every week. But so let's see. And then Brady late. That's fine. Andrews, fine. I'm going to go 7 for that, just because of the format of this league. All right, Mikey got Kamara, 3 receivers. That's the way to go. Hawkinson, Waddle. As a Dolphins fan, I'm tempering expectations. So I don't love him as a flex, but it's all right. Jacobs, it's not bad. I mean, for where you got him, it's not bad. You got the Jacobs Drake stack. Let's see. Let's see. Stafford is good. I think I don't love all the late round picks. Like, Ruggs is kind of a dart. I mean, that's fine at that spot. I actually like Bryan Edwards better. I was really hoping Bryan Edwards would make it back to me, but anyways. So I like the front half, like the first 5 picks. I think you were doing really, really well. I think Chris even said, like, I think you had one of the best starts. And I just don't love all the players kind of after that. So I would say 7.5.
Pierre, one thing real quick. Are you buying that the Dolphins had there was reports that the Dolphins had Jalen Waddle as their number 1 wide receiver on the board over Jamar Chase?
Yeah. I don't see why not. I mean, if you could put Waddle over Devontae Smith, it wasn't based on production, right? So it doesn't matter what Chase did 2 years ago. You know, they like Waddle's skill set, but also he's a better fit for them because obviously they want him. I mean, he's their slot guy, right? He's tailor-made for the offense. Obviously, you know, the Tua connection doesn't hurt either. So yeah, I believe it.
Fair enough.
I think he's a perfect fit, but I think it's going to benefit Tua more than him personally, him being there, because they still got Fuller and Parker on the outside. They're still going to throw tight ends a ton. You know, they're not going to be a pass-heavy team to begin with, but I think it's going to help. Tua is going to do really well, but I don't know that Waddle's going to be like a consistent fantasy performer.
Yeah, I guess I just like I personally I think I prefer the kind of that prototypical build that outside. If you're spending like a top 10 pick, you know what I mean? That I like that kind of. I guess I don't love drafting slot wide receivers in the top 10 personally.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is then I thought, okay, well, they could have taken Elijah Moore in the next pick, right? Or the next round.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Jay, we were on the draft, right? Live when it happened. We weren't.
Oh yeah, don't remind me.
we weren't thrilled.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Waddle's skill set. I think he's actually going to be phenomenal this year. What they're going to do is they're going to send Parker on a 9. They're going to send Fuller on a 9, and then Waddle's just going to abuse the slot corner over the middle. Him and Gesicki.
I would have loved Penei Sewell and then either Rondale Moore or Elijah Moore, and I think that would have been just such a solid.
I think we feel the same way, but it's like I'm not mad. Like I like Waddle. He's obviously going to be a good player and he fits the need and all that. But it's just,
I mean, they're saying he could be the next Tyreek Hill. So if that's the case, then I won't be upset about it.
Is Patrick Mahomes a quarterback?
Ball like Tua can't even. I don't even know if he can throw a deep ball. Like, to be honest, he didn't throw.
Patrick Mahomes didn't make Tyreek Hill though. To be fair,
but he did.
Like,
but he did actually.
Let give Tyreek Hill Sam Darnold. I mean, like, I don't know where we're drafting Tyreek Hill with like somebody like that.
Yeah, with all due respect, Tyreek Hill, I'm not a Tyreek Hill fan, but the guy is not a great route runner. The guy he burns people. He's great with the ball in his hands, but he's not a guy that like can run all the routes, can get open, can make contested catches. I'm not saying he'd be like nothing without Patrick Mahomes, but he wouldn't be like Tyreek Hill like the way we think of him.
He was like a second-round guy even with Alex Smith. I mean,
yeah, he had a 1,000-yard season even with Alex Smith. So you can't say Mahomes made Hill. He made him a star player. He didn't, but yeah. So the next team here, like Devontae Smith, right? Like I think Devontae Smith is going to be a better fantasy player than Waddle because he's going to get a lot more volume, right? He's obviously going to be the guy there, and he's going to get a ton of targets. So I feel better about him being like a starting receiver. But he had him as wide receiver 3, whereas Mike got him at Waddle as a wide receiver 4. So that's different also. But with this team, I mean, like, fine if you want to go wide receiver first round. I think the 5 spot's a little early for that, but. Okay, so Adams, Ridley, and then Smith, like that's really great start to your receiving core. DeAndre Swift, I'm out on him now, and I'm not an Edwards-Helaire believer, so I'm knocking this team just because I don't like either of those running backs. Not because of the build itself, right? Just because of the running backs that he actually took. So I do like Lamar Jackson. But no, I'm not crazy about those picks, but actually I do like the other pieces. I like Jackson, I like Goddard. There's decent depth at running back, so I'll go 7.5.
I had a question real quick. So I picked Josh Jacobs. Do you think I should have picked someone else there? Another running back or?
Let's see. Jacobs, you got in round 7. No, there's not really another running back who jumps out, right? That necessarily was a better selection at that spot. I would have preferred taking a running back earlier. Like I like the upside of Javonte Williams better than of Josh Jacobs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But he does have Josh Jacobs and Kenny Drake, so he has the stack. So if one pops off and gets the job, he does have the guy.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's not going to be it's not going to be the back and forth. It's going to be that they're both splitting carries. You know what I mean? It's going to be you're going to get both some of Jacobs and some of Drake every game, and that's going to be probably more frustrating than anything.
It's like, in my opinion, Mike, you probably could have went Kareem Hunt maybe in the 5th, and then got either Hawkinson, Pitts, or Andrews as your tight end in the next round.
Mm.
And I may be the outlier here, but I think Josh Jacobs could have a better season than that grouping of Gaskin, Etienne, and Hunt in the 5th round. And he's getting him in the 7th. So that's why I think that's good value, but
yeah, I think I like what he did. I think I don't think
I was Jacobs. Go ahead.
I was thinking about going Mostert over Jacobs, but just the injury prone. I figured if I was going to get Mostert, I would have to try to get Sermon, and I wasn't sure if Sermon would fall back to me. So I figured it was
what I did on Tuesday.
You don't have to get Sermon, but I definitely. You guys know I'm not even high on Jacobs, but I would definitely take Jacobs over Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
Here's the way I look at it. Do I like Gaskin, Etienne, Hunt, and those guys? Yes. Are they bulletproof? Are they guaranteed? No. They have. There's a reason they go in the 5th, 6th round because they also come with risk. So you got, to me, a similar guy 2 rounds later, and I like what you did. Like, you have Jalen Waddle. To me, is like a great flex because he's like, if Tyler Lockett was your flex, I'd like. If Tyler Lockett, I think, is a great flex play because he's one of those guys that when he booms in your flex, you're winning that week, right? Your team is like unstoppable. I'm not sure Waddle. I'm not gonna say I don't think Waddle has like 50-point upside. I'm just saying like he might be kind of up and down, but I think in your flex it's okay. You got Hawkinson. I think getting Jake, like you're getting potentially a solid RB2 in the 7th round. Like to me, I would have done it exactly well.
You know what's funny, Chris, is Josh Jacobs could end up with more touches than J.K. Dobbins, who I got in the 4th.
He could.
I don't think he'll be as efficient with them, but I think he could get as many touches as them.
He could. I agree.
Yeah. Oh, well, Jacobs, the thing is he's all about the volume, right? He was, I think, 3rd in the league in carries last year, and he had the touchdowns, right, double digits. So he's not getting that this year. Like we know he's not getting that because they got Drake for that reason. So could he be a low end RB2? Yeah, he could be. He's a kind of a safe RB2, I guess. So that depends what you're going for. With your builds, that makes sense because you stacked wide receivers, right? So I think he's fine at that spot for what you got. I'm just not as big personally, fantasy wise, on him or Waddle, I think, as some of the others. And what Jordan said makes sense. If you might have, in hindsight, of course, you don't know Andrews is going to be there in round 6. Like if you got Andrews in round 6, you could have taken a running back in round 5. That would have been fine. But
and we talk a lot about that Pittsburgh offensive line, but that Raiders offensive line is just bizarre in my opinion. Like the pieces,
they're going to be worse. That's true.
It's just strange what they've done. I don't understand what the vision of that team right now is, but
I figured I covered my bases getting Drake later, and then I backed that up again with Gainwell, who could, within a few weeks, depending how Miles Sanders plays, come out as the starter. So I learned from you guys last time. I went for I tried not to get my own handcuffs.
Yeah. And if Jacobs does get hurt, like you said, he has had some injury issues. I mean, Kenyon Drake has, 3. I don't know if he has 3 down, 100% of 3 down role, but he can do a lot of stuff. So, no, I like your picks.
Yeah, no, I do like Gainwell as a late round pick because I think he'll have a role even with Sanders. They're looking like he might kind of be the Corey Clement, Boston Scott replacement. So, all right, let's move on. I think we're at what, Nick?
Yes.
Did we do Tomislav?
Yeah.
He didn't give him a grade.
Okay.
I didn't give him a grade?
No.
Oh. Okay. Oh yeah, I was saying I like the pieces. I just don't like the running backs. But I think the strategy, well, it mostly works. So I'll go 8. All right, Nick, Derrick Henry is great to get him at 6. Of course, DK Metcalf's my boy. CeeDee Lamb is very solid. Carson, my other boy.
Did you foresee that Pierre was going to be great in this draft or what?
No idea. Just lucky, I guess.
Just like Kyler Murray. I mean, Corey Davis, not my favorite there, but I mean, like I would prefer Antonio Brown personally, but that's nitpicking. So And then you took good upside with your running backs. And then Irv Smith. All right, that's like the pièce de résistance. So yeah, this is a 9. This is a 9 for me.
Good job,
Just
Nick.
one quick question. Between Landry, Corey Davis, and Boyd, how would you rank those 3?
Boyd, Landry, Davis in that order.
What was the order? Sorry. What was the 3 again?
Landry, Corey Davis, Boyd.
I have Boyd first out of those guys, then Landry, and then Davis.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do what Pierre said.
I have Davis ahead of Landry only because, again, we know what Landry is. He's a 6 to 7 catch guy, 70 to 80 yards, 1 touchdown every 4 games, which is fine. But give me the potential upside of Corey Davis. Like, he's battling Denzel Mims, a second-year guy who didn't really show a lot in year 1, and a rookie who I do like. But if he emerges as a guy with Zach Wilson who could potentially be a gunslinger, I would just rather gamble on the upside of Davis personally. But I do definitely have Boyd ahead of both of them.
Real quick,
He does have more upside. Yeah, it just depends how you feel about Zach Wilson, and then how aggressive you think that offense is going to be. I don't know how aggressive they will be, just because they got a defensive-minded coach and they have a rookie quarterback, and I think they're going to try to. They're not going to take too many risks, I think. So, like, if Corey Davis is still in Tennessee, I would say Davis.
I guess the point I'm saying is Jarvis Landry ain't doing anything to help you win a fantasy championship. He's not going to lose you a fantasy championship. He ain't going to help you win one. Corey Davis, yeah, he might be nothing. Okay, big deal. You drop him, whatever. But if he ends up being the guy there in New York and Zach Wilson's a crazy gunslinger and, you know what I mean, he could potentially help you win a fantasy championship. So, to me,
Okay.
I'd rather have that. Personally.
So I have a question for Dynasty. Are we higher on Rondale Moore or Elijah Moore?
I'm higher on Elijah Moore in all formats, but I know I'm in the minority there.
No,
me too. I'm Elijah
I
Moore.
definitely like him in Dynasty more personally. So
yeah, and I just have a quick note. I agree with Pierre 100%, and Chris. I think Landry, because he's so consistent. If you're in a deep league, like Landry just wins you that safety net where, like, if you only need, like, if I'm gonna win for sure, he's the greatest, like, flex play ever.
You're right, but if you have a team that I know I'm gonna win for sure, freaking put whoever you want in there. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? And I get what you're saying. Yeah, like, because sometimes we'll talk about that on our start sit shows. People will ask us about 2 players, and there's no clear answer. It's like, if your team is really strong, there's a guy who's safer. That would be Landry. If your team needs to hit a home run, there's a guy like Corey Davis. Since we're drafting, and I don't know if my team is a juggernaut, and obviously my team today was not a juggernaut, I'd rather at this point draft a guy who in the 7th round who could potentially be like Corey Davis. I don't think people realize how good Corey Davis was last year in Tennessee. Like, he was putting up high-end wide receiver 2 numbers every single week, and he wasn't even drafted, right? He was a waiver wire pickup. So that's the type of guy that can take your team from being like an okay team to a team that can win the championship. Whereas Jarvis Landry, like, he's never, yeah, sure, he's great if you're like, I just need a safe like 10 to 15 points. Jarvis Landry is your guy. You're going to get it. You don't have to worry about it. But to me, in the draft, I'd rather just pass on.
Yeah. The reason why I asked.
Go ahead, Nick.
Well, the reason why I asked that originally is because I was kind of stuck with, of who I like more out of those 3. Now, by the time I was picking in the 7th, Corey Davis was the only one available, so that's why I took him. But I just wanted to get that sorted out because I was running circles trying to figure out of those 3 who I rank them.
So I don't know if this helps, but when you're like in a tiebreaker with guys, think about like the division they're in, right? So yeah. Corey Davis has to go up against Xavier Howard, Stephon Gilmore, and Tre'Davious White, right?
Yeah.
Jarvis Landry has to go up against either Marlon Humphreys. But like when you go to tiebreakers, the point being is Jarvis Landry at least gets to play the Bengals twice.
Yeah.
Corey Davis.
What did he do against the Bengals last year?
Oh, my thing was, I'll even make it more simple than that. It's just what team they're on. You've got the Browns who they're not the same old Browns. They're a little bit better, but like it's the Jets, and it's like Are we
The
really
Jets could be
thinking they're
coming
gonna
from
turn
behind a
around?
lot. They could throw the ball more, whereas Cleveland's going to be winning most games because of their defense, where
So
they're going to
even
rely on Nick
without
Chubb.
here's the thing, even without Odell, and I know this because I had Jarvis Landry in our flex league, and he did not do me any favors. He was fine, but my team needed ceiling, and he didn't give it to me. He had 2 games where he topped 65 yards last year. Two games, and he had 3 touchdowns. So I don't care if Jarvis Landry's schedule is, like I said, he's going to get you your 5 to 8 catches, and he's going to get you like your 60 yards, and he's going to get you your 12 to whatever 15 points. But he's not getting you more. He had 1 game over 100 yards last year, some crazy 8 catch, 143 yard, 1 touchdown game.
That's because he was playing against me. Anytime someone plays against me, they go crazy. So
there you go.
If you want to know who sits, I'll tell you whoever's playing against me that week.
Now,
I'm not anti Landry. I'm just like, he's just so no upside at all. Sure, he's safe, but I'd rather just gamble on Davis. If Davis busts, okay, fine. He's my 7th round pick. I can recover. But Landry, you just know what you're getting from Landry, and it's just meh.
Not exciting. But it's also where it depends on the, like you said, the roster construction. So, if you took him as your 4th receiver, yeah, I mean, that's fine. You don't have to start him. But, if he's your 3rd receiver in a 3 receiver league like this, I mean, if you're not starting him, then you're counting on Bateman as a rookie, coming out. You're hoping Julio gets traded and you have Gage, to start. That could be a great pick or it could not. You know what I mean? So it all depends. So like Landry in the 7th round, in and of itself, like you say, okay, well, that's fine. It's not exciting, but it also depends on your team needs. And like Chris said, like in best ball, you knock him down because there are no best games for him. Like every game is the same. It's like 60 yards.
I don't even draft I don't think I've drafted Jarvis Landry one time in best ball. It's like pointless. It's like, why?
which is saying something because you've done like 78 drafts. So
I've done almost 400 now. But yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, okay.
But the point being,
I'd
rather have a guy like Corey Davis, even if you only like in season long, it's a little tougher because if Corey Davis only gives you like 3 or 4 good games a year, you're probably not going to pick the right games to start. I mean, you're going to be frustrated. But in best ball, I'd rather have 3 or 4 monster games from Corey Davis than 16 average games from Jarvis Landry because he's probably never even going to make my starting lineup in best ball, honestly.
Yeah, so my biggest thing is I play in a league where obviously you have to set your lineup, so it's not the best available. And I've seen so many people go for the boom bust, and then so our league keeps track of like the roster moves that you make against like I guess the chalk, and so it shows you like, hey, you were responsible for this many points in your game versus what we thought you should have put in. And I always played like I had a good enough team to where I could play the safe floor play most weeks, and that's eventually what won me my league. So like when you go floor guys they just show no upside. I'm just like, dude, floor guys are great because you put them in there, they get you 10 points, and you're like, that's all I needed from you because I know my Christian McCaffreys are my like I had D-Hop last year. And in a PPR format, which was ridiculous. So like you just know certain guys are just going to pop off and do things. And when you're just looking for your flex play, now I'm not obviously saying, hey, Jarvis Landry is your wide receiver too. No.
If he is, you're in trouble.
No, I'm just saying he's a nice, safe floor play, especially in the flex spot.
Sure. But see, I'd rather but again, this comes down to preference, I guess. I'd rather have guys in my flex who can win me my week. Unless, again, but yeah, if I'm stacked at every position, then I just don't want a guy who will lose me my week. So I guess, there's a lot.
But on a week-to-week, realistically, in a week-to-week basis, it's about the matchup too, because you know what I mean. There might be a guy who you start most weeks, and then if he has just a terrible matchup against a lockdown corner, like maybe you sit him in favor of a guy at least can get you a few points. Or maybe Jarvis Landry's playing, like last year was the Jaguars, we had that monster game. Maybe he's playing the Jaguars this year. Maybe I will start him. So you just have to have a balance. You can't have all boom guys because then there'll be weeks where you do nothing because they won't go boom. But you can't all play it safe either. But what you should do is what a lot of people do the opposite of is they want the league winner in round 1 and 2. is you're supposed to play it safe in the first rounds, it's the second round, and then you take your chances at the middle rounds. Like you don't want those boring guys in the middle rounds because they're not going to do anything for you, right? Like Landry, you know what I mean? And then you don't want the high risk guy, like the rookie running back in the first round. That's what everyone gets crazy and does, right? This guy's going to lead the league in rushing. He's not. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. I think
Yeah.
we're in team 7. That's Jay's team, right?
Yeah, Jordan.
All right. Jonathan Taylor, just mix it up. Honestly, I still don't really know how, like where I think Taylor should be drafted because I feel like he should be a top 10 pick, but then I don't ever feel comfortable taking in the top 10. So like I'd still go Zeke over Taylor, but like I can't argue with Taylor there. So Jefferson, Gibson. Well, we already talked about Gibson. A little risky. How did you feel taking Mahomes at that spot? Because you said you hadn't done that before.
Well, it got auto drafted for me, so I just stuck with it. But I wanted to see how my team would look taking Mahomes early because I never do that. I don't mind it personally.
So yeah, it's like you have a great receiving core. I mean, even like your fifth receiver is Mooney. That's good. Gallup is exactly what we were talking about. That kind of high ceiling guy who could boom if you need to put him in your lineup. Great receiving core. Could be a great running back core if Gibson stays healthy. We got Mahomes. Dunning. I mean, yeah, it actually worked out pretty well. I'm going to assume right now that Gibson is 110% healthy. So I'll give you 8.5.
Cool. Thank you.
Chris, Zeke, Elliott, let's see, Kelsey, Cooper, Mixon, Galladay, Anderson. All right, Chris, you took 2 running backs in the first 4 rounds. You have some explaining to do.
You know what's funny? When I was on the clock and I took Cooper, I think Jordan drafting Gibson pushed me to Cooper, but I was like, I'm just going to do something crazy and do like a 3 running back, 1 tight end start and see what happens. But then I was like, I don't really like any of these running backs. And I feel like Cooper at the 3.8 is a good value. So I took him. And then I kind of went back to the running back thing. And then I was like, now I'm in no man's land. And now I'm with one of these teams that is absolutely, to me, is the worst type of team to have. I know a lot of people like this. A lot of people are probably going to say on the YouTube channel, I really like your team. But this is the type of team that like wins 7 games and gets bounced in the first round, in my opinion.
It's funny because at that 3 spot, when I was like, I'm between 3 guys, it was Gibson, Cooper, and Waller, and then they all went in a row.
Yeah. Like if you wouldn't have taken Gibson, I probably would have gone Gibson there and then still gone Mixon in the 4th just to like really go crazy and just be like, screw it. And then probably just load up on wide receivers just to see what happened. But then I got all thrown off by taking Cooper. And now my team's in like no man's land. I mean, like I don't really have, I guess Zeke at RB1. I do have Kelsey. Maybe that will save me. I don't really have a wide receiver 1. I have a potentially risky RB2. My wide receiver core is very risky.
I think getting Dak in the 7th round was actually really good, though. You got the stack too with Cooper, so that might be.
Dak is good, but it's like, is that going to be enough to save this team? I don't think so. I need like Galladay to be a beast, and I need like Robbie Anderson to be what he was last year, or Jalen Reagor to take a leap, or Devontae Parker to be like Tua's number 1 guy and Tua take a leap. Like I'm really going to need something to happen for this team to compete.
Yeah, it's probably the first time I'll ever say this, Chris, but I think your wide receiver core is your weakness. So, which is weird, but that's what we talked about in the Kelsey video. It's like every time I wind up taking a tight end in the 1st or 2nd rounds, like I just don't like the way it turns out because. I'm like, think about it again. You didn't know. There's no way to know who's going to come back to you. But like, you could have taken Jefferson or Metcalf and then gotten Waller with your next pick, and that probably would have made you feel a lot better.
Yeah, probably. I think what would have really been better is if I had gone with like T. Higgins or something like that over Mixon, and then instead of taking like Parker in the 9th, taking another running back there and just grab like 4 kind of dart throw running backs at the end of the draft, and I probably would have felt a little bit better. But yeah.
If Kenny Galladay does stay healthy, getting him in the 5th round, I think is great.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't pass on Kenny Galladay there, only like being over the other guys. I'm not high on Kenny Galladay, but I do think Kenny Galladay in 5th round is okay.
Like,
but I also know that Kenny Galladay could be very average.
the situation obviously isn't great, but he's just when he's on the field, he's so talented.
But my biggest issues with Galladay in New York is that he's not like he's like a big contested catch kind of guy. Like he's not like a precision route runner type of guy, and I don't know if that's gonna mesh with Daniel Jones. Like Matt Stafford, he'll trust his receivers in the sense that like if he knows Kenny Galladay can go up and get it, Matt Stafford will throw it up there to him, right, and be like, go get it. I don't know if that's gonna be the case with Daniel Jones. We'll see.
So if he plays the whole season, do you think he gets double-digit touchdowns?
No.
You don't.
No.
See, I think he gets right at about 10 touchdowns if he plays.
I think there were only 7 or 6 receivers with double-digit touchdowns last year.
And I guess I see him with that. I think he's. I mean, again, like you just said, there's the question of Daniel Jones, but I think
that's a big question.
I think it is the big question, but I think he has the talent to be in that group as well.
The Giants had 12 total touchdowns from wide receivers last year.
I was just about to say, I don't think the Giants have that many scoring opportunities
Darius
to support 10 touchdowns.
I know, but the thing is, like, that offense is bad, and the real thing is, like, that offensive line is horrendous. That's the problem. That's the main problem. Is the offensive line is horrendous.
Well, I saw something crazy. I saw if you go on their depth, obviously it's just like ESPN has their listed depth chart from the team. But Andrew Brown, who is their Andrew Thomas, excuse me, who is their number 4 pick from last year, is listed as the 2nd string.
Yeah, he played terrible last year. That doesn't surprise me.
They have Nate Soldier listed as the 1st string and Andrew Thomas is 2nd string.
I just don't think that offense is gonna be explosive enough to support a double-digit touchdown. Like the only guy I can see getting double-digit touchdowns is Saquon Barkley, but it would be like 7 to 8 rushing touchdowns and like 5 or 6 receiving touchdowns.
I agree.
Yeah. And I feel like this has been a trend that New York is somehow going to get better. Like this is Daniel Jones. It's like, it was supposed to be last year, was supposed to be his leap year. And they're like, oh, well, he had no weapons. And this year they went out and got him a bunch of weapons. I feel like this is the year, like, obviously it's his prove it year, but I think we're just going to figure out that Daniel Jones just isn't a NFL quarterback. And so like at this point, that's why I'm off on like Kenny Galladay, I think does have the talent to be a number one receiver. Daniel Jones is pretty much his the crutch that's not going to let him get there. So I think next year, Kenny Galladay, with whoever they get in the draft, or if they get somebody, I like Kenny Galladay then, not now.
Yeah.
That O-line has literally been awful since like 2000 and I don't remember.
And the crazy thing is they traded back and they could have gotten Darisaw and instead they drafted Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
Like you could have had a significant upgrade on your O-line and instead you drafted another pass catcher.
Well, look at the offensive linemen they have drafted. Like they picked Andrew Thomas over. Oh God, who did they pick him up? They picked him over the guy, the Bucks, and the guy, the
Cleveland Teller.
They could have even have stayed put and took Rashawn Slater.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they're like, you know what, we suck at drafting O-linemen. Screw it, we're not even gonna bother.
Probably.
What was it? The year before they got, I think his name's like Will Hernandez or something like that. He plays guard for them.
Yep.
I saw they're looking at possibly cutting him. It's like
terrible. No, they're that's what worries me with Galladay is that
going from Stafford and a team that had to pass it a ton because their defense was terrible to Daniel Jones and a team with a bad O-line. It's not going to turn out that great. I mean, he'll be okay, but yeah, he's more wide receiver 3 than 2 in fantasy. So.
Yeah, for sure. My team's terrible. You can just move on. We can all agree.
No, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
Look, that's a solid 7.
That's generous. Okay.
Which is passing. That's a passing grade.
70%. I'll take it.
Francis, you still with us?
Doesn't sound
I
like
think
it.
I see him on the Zoom. I haven't heard him. He just
Maybe he's
he was
muted.
with us.
Maybe he's drafting while he's at work again. He's muted.
That's where I just saw him. Okay. All right. So everyone who's there at the hospital listening, here we go. All right. Hopkins, Akers, great start. Waller, Thielen, solid. Wide receiver 2. No complaints with Gaskin. Let's see. Odell Beckham. I guess it depends what you think of him. I'm okay with him as wide receiver 3. And then we got Johnson and Harris. Not crazy about David Johnson. I do like Damian Harris, but I know he's not going to be a league winner. I've accepted that. Not bad. It's not bad. It's not I guess it does. Nothing jumps off the page here. It feels like a solid team. Gaskin is your RB2. I feel like this is a team that could make the playoffs, maybe be like number 5 or 4 seed possibly. But I don't see anything that jumps out and says is a team that's necessarily going for the throne. You know what I mean? Like you'd need Akers to be a league winner, I guess is what I'm saying. So I'll say 7.5.
But he does have Kadarius Toney. We can't forget that.
Hey.
You
All
can.
right. Well, in that case, 6.5.
Ouch.
Hey, I'm glad the Giants did take him because I heard the Jags were thinking about him on that 25th pick, and I was like, oh.
I heard that as well. Yeah.
I was like,
He's not
oh.
a bad wide receiver. Just that's not what the Giants needed. Is the point?
Or the Jags.
Or the Jags.
Is he a first round wide receiver? I think that's my question.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is he really a first rounder?
I mean, I guess they could have taken Terrace Marshall instead.
Yeah, here's the problem. We're never going to know because he's going to be stuck in New York and he's going to probably be a complete bust this year just because that offense is not going to be good enough to support all those receivers, I don't think. So, and then people are just going to be like, oh, he's a bust. And you never know. Maybe if he had landed somewhere better, he wouldn't have been a bust. But
will he start
in New York?
Will he be their slot wideout? Probably.
What about Sterling Shepard?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes no sense. It's like
I know.
He's the outside guy, right? And Slayton's the
Slayton. Well, no, Slayton is the outside guy, but now they have Galladay, who's also an outside guy. Shepard primarily plays the slot. Evan Ingram runs a lot of his routes from the slot.
And Tony's like 5'10".
Yeah, so I don't understand. That's why I didn't understand. Like, what are the Giants doing? What are they trying
They'll
to
run
do?
5 wide out. They'll run spread offense every single play.
They'll run Slayton out wide on one side, Galladay outside on the other, and then 3 slot guys.
Yeah, they'll run 4 wide receiver sets with Saquon and shotgun.
Yeah. They don't even put Daniel Jones. They'll put 5 wide receivers and Saquon at quarterback, and he can either throw or run.
It might be better off that way. All right. So these next 2, can I compare that because it was the same type of build, right? Went running back, 3 receiver, running back. So let's see which one we like better. You got Chubb or Eckler. I think we prefer Eckler just a little bit. So I would have gone Eckler over Chubb, but that's not a huge difference. Okay, so then you got AJ Brown, Julio Jones, Jamar Chase. I feel like that's a little early for Chase. He's more like a 5th round guy, but and then you got Diggs, Cup, Sutton. I like Diggs, Cup, Sutton better. That's for sure. So
yeah, I like
I'm
L's first 5 better.
I like L's first 5.
Yeah.
Now I don't love Pitts. I mean, honestly, I think he's getting overdrafted. So that's where it took a little turn. But I still like the roster better overall. And then Jalen Hurts at quarterback. That might to some extent make or break this team, but I do like the start and the foundation of this team better. So, all right. So Jay, a little reachy for me, some of these picks. So I would go 7. Ale, I like that start. Where did he take? Let me see. I would have taken. Well, actually, what I would have done is probably not taking a tight end there. Would have took Pitts, taken another receiver, and then taking a tight end on the way back. So, because that's what I actually did. So I'll still go 8.5. I like Ale's team. That's a really solid team. All right, then someone else gets to lay it on me.
I was like, I think the difference between Jay and
Jeremy?
Ale, like I like Ale's first 5, but I think I like Jay's quarterback tight end duo better than Ale's.
Yeah, that's
Like
what I was getting at.
I'd rather have Josh Allen Thomas than Hurts and Pitts, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that goes back to the argument is that mid-round picks, you know what I mean? You want to like someone safe like Logan Thomas, or do you want to take the chance that Pitts is going to have a historic rookie season? I mean, you know, it's just risk reward.
But even still, at the tight end position, he's going to have like for that to even be like, I mean, he could have like if he has a TJ Hawkinson last year's season, okay, fine. That's pretty much where you're drafting him, right? Like it's not, you're fine, you're okay. For him to have he'd have to have like a Travis Kelce last year's season for that to be like a league winning pick, honestly. Or maybe like a Darren Waller level season.
Yeah. And I'm not taking Pitts anywhere, to be honest. Just like last year, I was off of the Edwards Hiller hype. I'm not taking Pitts this year. But
Jeremy, you drafting Pierre's
still a
team or grading Pierre's team?
I mean, I can, so everyone thinks I just demolish them.
Let's go. Let's do it. Draft.
Why don't you give him
All
a 4?
So you went Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Chris Godwin, of
Uh-oh.
course,
Uh-oh.
Duke Johnson, DJ Shark, Davis,
Davis.
Melvin Gordon. The McKissick pick I like. It's a little early. Like even he's one of my guys, but I would say that's kind of early. But I mean, if you think he's the guy, that's cool. You did get Mims. I do like Burrow. I think so. Yeah, I don't know much about Burrow's injury and if he's set to come back for I'd want to make sure that he's in a game, which you don't know yet. So I mean, I guess I'm fine with him in the late rounds. My biggest thing is these guys coming off of big injuries from last year. I just want to hear more information, and I understand the media can't get the access they've had years prior. I just want to hear bill of health or out playing. And I think I do remember seeing a report that he had a brace on his leg and he was out there throwing. So
latest report I heard is that there should be no issues heading into week 1. He should be full go. The only thing is he might be limited on his running because he actually ran more last year than people think.
Yeah.
So he might be limited there. But as far as in the pocket passing, that sounds like full go should be fine. Just he might not be able to run as much. Not that you're expecting 500 yards from him, but that's the only thing I've heard. So
I heard he should be good until he gets hit 15 times in the first game.
Yes. And then he's going to retire. Actually, he's going to retire.
He's just going to quit the game of football at that point.
He's going to be like, "Why did you idiots draft Jamar Chase?" And he's going to be like, "Oh, that's right, because you idiots listen to me instead of doing your job, which is to draft players. You listen to the quarterback."
Yeah. So on Pierre's team, just in total, I like 3 receivers out of the top 4. So I mean, and that's just who you like more. I definitely like your running backs, and you have the depth to where I don't think you'll ever have an issue. You'll definitely be changing out at least your 4th receiver. I don't know, and I don't know who you drafted, if someone will rotate in. Like Mims could be the guy, maybe not. And then I can also see you picking somebody up. So I'm not too worried about it. And to be honest, I mean, sometimes you might be able to flex in Gordon or McKissick if they get if McKissick gets the same role from last year, if Gordon keeps the job, or if what's his name, Williams gets hurt or something, then you're good there too. So your only question mark is if someone gets hurt, who's going to fill in? And I think you have enough fill-ins to where I mean, I like your team. I'd give it an 8.
All right.
I'll take it.
Surprised he didn't start Cam Akers, DK Metcalf, honestly.
I know they were still on the board.
Gotta mix it up. That's what I'm saying. You can't, it's gotta try some different things.
I think Aaron Jones at the end of the first is.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, I feel like, especially since I'm with Chris on this, Rodgers is staying. I don't see him going anywhere at this point. It's been a couple of days. I'm like, all right, if they were going to do something, and I feel like if he was going to do something, kind of go ahead and seems and be like, you know what, I'm going to retire now. Like, I don't want to have to deal with all
He's
this.
gonna be in Green Bay. The Packers know they can't win without Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers knows the best chance for him winning is in Green Bay. Like, you've been to back. Like, where is he gonna go? Where he's gonna have a better chance to win? Like a team that needs a quarterback, obviously, where he's gonna have a better chance to win than he does in Green Bay. He just went to back-to-back NFC championships. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
He's not getting traded.
No, it doesn't make sense for either side.
I would just say too that before Akers a couple years ago, Aaron Jones was my guy. Like before he got drafted, when nobody heard about him, because I actually saw him play because here in San Antonio, UTSA is the football team, which is kind of sad, but that's the college here. And they played UTEP, I think, and yeah, I watched him in college, and I saw that guy could be good, and then he was hardly talked about. So Aaron Jones was my guy, but now he's everybody's guy, so I'm off of him. But I always liked Aaron Jones.
You're like when you have that band that nobody knows about that, and then all of a sudden everybody they become famous. You're like, oh, I hate them now. I don't like them anymore.
I'm the same way with everything in life, though. I swear, as soon as something becomes popular, I'm like, yeah, I can't anymore.
Yeah.
I'm off.
That's exactly right.
If I get
once you make it big, forget it.
If I get confirmation that Aaron Rodgers is 100% staying, which I think it's probably like 85, 90% that he's, because I think his only other option is he's just going to sit out, because I don't think they will. I think you guys are 100% right. They're not going to trade him. I personally probably put Jones over Eckler. I put him over Chubb. I put him over Taylor. And between him and Elliott, it's close for me. I probably put Elliott over him, but I think he's definitely in the top, 5 or 6 running backs for me.
I definitely I've never really been. He's never been a guy I've drafted because every year I'm like, dude, you guys, they rotate in Jamal Williams. He sits for like an entire series. He won't play in the 2-minute drill. He won't, right? But this year I feel better about him because I'm like, okay, am I really worried about AJ Dillon? Like, are they going to really take Aaron Jones off the field for an entire series for AJ Dillon and Kylan Hill? I don't think so. I definitely feel better about him this year than I have.
Exactly. And even in the past 2 years, he's finished as a top 5 running back both years. So
yeah, but as somebody who had not only did I have Aaron Jones because I traded for him, but league I co-managed with a friend of mine. We also had Aaron Jones. He's another guy that there was that one week where he scored 40-something points, and I think there was maybe one or two other. There's one other week where he had 2 touchdowns, but he never really won you your week. He never lost you the week. He just got you that 15 to 18 points every single week, which is fine, but that's not really what you're looking for in your first rounder.
Just got you 15 to 20 points.
But what I'm saying is you don't draft a guy in the first round, and maybe he was the second rounder last year. I don't remember because I don't draft him. But that's not when you draft Saquon Barkley, if you draft Dalvin Cook and he's only getting you 15 to 18 points, you're going to be disappointed, right? Or Derrick Henry's only getting you 15 to 18 points, you're going to be disappointed. He's not going to lose you your week, but you're not. You're no, I want those 25. Not every week, of course, but you want those 25, 30-point games sometimes. And Aaron Jones just didn't really. But I think he can this year because again, it's hard when you're only getting when you're sitting out for an entire series twice a half. It's hard to have those type of games. It really is.
So how would you rank Taylor, Elliott? So this kind of group of running backs. So Taylor, Elliott, Akers, Chubb, Eckler, and Jones.
Well, I go Zeke.
I knew you were going to say Zeke first.
I would go Zeke, Eckler, Jones. I have Chubb a little ahead of Akers. I do think Akers will be more involved, but I don't like to take risk in the first round. And I know what I'm going to get with Chubb. And I saw a stat where in the games where Wyatt Teller was healthy last year, the Browns averaged 160 yards per game on the ground. So I'm not really worried about Kareem Hunt because Chubb can get a huge portion of that and a touchdown. So I have Chubb a little bit ahead of Akers.
Gotcha. And then Taylor at the end.
Taylor's again.
He's tricky for me. He's tricky.
Taylor, I feel like, has two ranges of outcome. He has a range of outcomes where he gets 25 touches, dominates that backfield, and next year he's like a locked-in top 3 or 4 fantasy pick. But he has the other range where Nyheim Hines catches a lot of passes, Marlon Mack gets more run than we want. Maybe they throw the ball more because they don't have dead arm Phillip Rivers. They have Carson Wentz. Maybe they throw the ball a little bit more, and he's more of like, you know, a top 10 to 12 guy. So again, I just don't like taking that risk.
Yeah.
So in the early round, because you can get that upside with Derrick Henry. You can get that upside with, you know, Zeke. You can get that upside with Chubb. You can get that same upside with those other guys. So, and I get it if you want to say Zeke has risk. That I totally.
Now in Dynasty, where do you have Taylor for you?
I would have Taylor.
Because some people
I'd probably have Taylor ahead of all those guys.
No, I meant overall. Because some people have him as their overall number 1.
I'm not ready for that yet.
Over like
That's silly.
I'd still have CMC number 1. The guy's 25 years old. The guy's not ancient. He's 25. Like,
yeah, no, I agree. But
you're still looking at 2 to 3 elite years from Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Taylor would be like 4 or 5 probably.
Yeah,
in
definitely
Dynasty.
top 5.
Yeah. So I had it. So if you're asking between, so I had an Elliott. So I guess I'm really high on it. Elliott, Eckler, Jones, Chubb, Taylor, Akers.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. Because the thing with Taylor and Akers, they're both in a bit of a similar situation in the sense that we only really saw them do it down the stretch last year. So it's not like we're not 100% sure they're going to be the guys, but they should be the guys. So that's fine.
And not like this is the be-all, end-all, but Chubb and Taylor have the 2 best offensive lines to run behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he had that last year too. Like I said, I think my thing with Taylor is like I can see 2 outcomes for him. I can see the outcome where they're just like, Taylor's our guy, he's our workhorse, he's getting the ball 20 to 25 times a game, he's putting up top 5 fantasy numbers, which is pretty much where you're drafting him anyways, in most drafts, and everything's great. But then I could also see the range where they're like, we really like what Nyheim Hines does in the passing game. We like Marlon Mack. I'm not saying Marlon Mack's going to get like the bulk of the touches, but he gets enough to where maybe Taylor's only like a 15 to 18 touch guy, and he's, you know, still good, still would be good, but more similar to what we saw last year. Because last year, I mean, people are like really excited about him, but he only averaged 16.9 per game.
Yeah, what I think, in my opinion, is they are going to involve Marlon Mack a lot, just so he can put some good stuff on tape, so they can maybe get value in a trade for him.
I mean, yeah, you just never know. So that's my thing. Whereas like with Zeke, like with Chubb, with Eckler, with Jones, we pretty much know what their situations are. We know what we're getting. And to me, I prefer that in the first round, because you can't, like, if Jonathan Taylor is a top 5 running back, great, you drafted him as a top 5 running back. You didn't win your league because you had Jonathan Taylor, unless Jonathan Taylor like does something ridiculous and scores like, you know, 390 fantasy points.
I almost lost my first round matchup because Taylor had like 220 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, well, yeah. But like if you draft Jonathan Taylor at the 5 spot and he ends up being like RB 13 or 14, you're going to be in a world.
Oh yeah, you're pissed. Absolutely.
So
and like I said in the YouTube chat, I would have taken Zeke, but I did that on Tuesday. So I was like, Taylor got auto drafted. I'll roll with it.
Yeah, it was auto drafted. Like it's fine. That's where he goes. It's fine. Like I'm fine with Taylor anywhere in the second half of the first round. I'm okay with that, because
like I could have went Zeke Ridley again or Zeke Metcalf, but I was like, oh, I'll do something different.
No, it's fine.
Gotta mix it up.
Yeah, it's fine.
Unlike Jeremy, who gets Mike Williams, has a heart attack if he doesn't get Mike Williams in this.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason I do the same picks at the end is to show that like I'm consistent in saying, hey, this is my guy. I think he should be going here, and to show people as they
pick
watch.
A better my guy?
Huh?
You can't pick a better my guy?
I mean, I like Jones in the 9th. We all like the same people. So when I picked Jones, it was between Jones, Gage, Mooney, and then And I was like, all right, well, I haven't chosen Jones in a while. I'll choose Jones. And then Gage went, and then Mooney went a couple picks later. And I was like, well, see, that just vindicates what I was thinking. And I was like, and in my home league, I'm going to get probably all three of them just in a later round. And that's why I brought in MVS. Like, I haven't seen many of us even draft him or do anything. And that's why I was like, all right, I'm going to take this guy.
Hey, you can have him.
You don't like him?
Not at all.
Not at all. I think he's better than your Robinson pick.
I think they're the same.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're both in that same, like, could be, might not be, potential upside guys.
Mike Williams is a guy, when he came out of college, I just
Wait,
thought,
you talking about Mike Williams or
no, yeah, I was just gonna say, I thought when Mike Williams came out of college, I thought he was gonna be such a good NFL wide receiver.
Okay, so you know what I was doing after we talked about it last time, I was like, maybe I should go look at this more. I didn't realize he actually had a really good first season. He had like 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
that's why everyone was so hyped about him.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened last year, and I'm kind of on the fence where part of me is like, you know what? Year 3, they're gonna have a great offensive line. They didn't do anything in the passing game. If anything, Hunter Henry's gone. I can see a path where he makes a leap.
That's all I'm trying to get is that information out. Like, if there's a path now, this is without question. If Julio Jones goes there, Mike Williams is dead to me. We're not talking about him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like. So, well, those are the questions I get. And they're like, are you still high on Mike Williams if Julio Jones goes there? And I'm like, no, like, no one would be. And they're like, well, and you're not that high on him. And I'm like, what?
Well,
here's the thing. It's always worth a shot in round 11 because if he ends up being what he was last year, you just drop him and then you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, like he's a talented guy. He's got a good quarterback. He's the number 2 target. So there's definitely reasons to like Williams, and I've got Williams a couple of times in best ball so far. MVS is different because I think by now, like, we know what he is, and there's nothing that would possibly like make him better than he has been. Right? There's no reason why he would do more than he's done in the past, and so it's like I'd rather take it on somebody else, I guess. If anything, I'd rather take a shot and say, well, maybe Amari Rodgers will be a guy there, because.
And I like the Demarcus Robinson pick too, by the way. I like that pick a lot. Because I
like Demarcus Robinson too.
Because everybody thinks it's going to be McCole Hardman, but again, kind of like with J.K. Dobbins, when Sammy Watkins was out for 5 weeks last year, it wasn't McCole Hardman, it was Demarcus Robinson. Now it might be somebody else. It might be Pringle. It might be the guy they drafted, Powell or whatever. Like, it might not be Demarcus Robinson, but I'm willing to take a chance, like Jordan did in the 12th, because if it is, again, that's potential league winner. He could be like an every week high upside our wide receiver 3 or something that is really taking your team to the next level. And if he's not, you drop him and you move on. No big deal.
Right, like he's my 7th guy.
Yeah,
it's not like I'm relying on him.
Not a big deal. It's like Michael Gallup. I don't like Michael Gallup, but same thing, kind of like in that Mike Williams vein. If he ends up, if this year he gets more involved again, like he was, for the first 2 years, boom, you hit a home run in the 10th. If not, you drop him, you move on. Not a big deal.
So here's a question. Between the 6th and 8th round, I feel like we all feel like it's a struggle. Is there one person in that round that you see could be a league winner, or just you think did well for those 3 rounds? Because I feel like 1 through 5, we all you can all do decent. I think in this format with us drafting 6 through 8, I think is the key part. And it's just whoever drafts better in that, and depending on who falls and stuff as well.
I would say Devontae Smith, but he's going too high now.
Yeah, I think Javonte Williams fits the bill perfectly for that. Like a guy kind of like what we saw with John Carter last year, Cam Akers last year, a guy who, maybe doesn't give you a lot early in the season, but as the season goes on, if they start using him more, he could be a league winner. Like Cam Akers was winning people weeks last year, right? Like people were dropping him, people were like all pissed off, and then he's same with Jonathan Taylor. He was winning people weeks last year. I think Javonte Williams fits that bill perfectly.
I go Mike Davis because he went in the 6th for us. And then again, I'm a little bit higher on Trey Sermon than you guys are, but I would go Trey Sermon in the 8th.
Yeah, I can see James Robinson too, honestly.
And Jalen Rager, Devontae Smith going high, but Rager could wind up being, the guy there. So that's definitely a pick.
I like about
especially
Rager,
now they know he's going to be in the slot. He's going to get a lot of targets.
I like that they're moving him to the slot. That makes me like him even more because it's like, okay, he's going to go against the weaker corners, right? The slot corners, the weaker corners. And he's going to have that defined role. He's not going to be competing with Devonta Smith on the outside. So I like him a lot. Now that they're moving him to the slot for sure.
And I love that Jamal Williams pick in the 10th. I think that is just a great value.
Dude, people are asleep. People, I'm telling you, I've been saying it all season, but dude, first of all, it's the Lions, and they like Jamal Williams is good. Jamal Williams is good.
You heard what Anthony Lynn said too. He said whoever has the hot hand, they're just going to roll with it. So if Jamal Williams gets off to a hot start, he could be the starter for 4 or 5 games.
Remember, like, I don't know if you guys how active you guys are on Twitter, but like a lot of times on Twitter, like there's this hashtag like free Aaron Jones, right? Because Jamal Williams would be out there, like Aaron Jones would just be on the bench, like watching the football game, and people would tag like free Aaron Jones. That's gonna be DeAndre Swift this year. There's gonna be games. There's gonna be stretches of games where DeAndre Swift. And why aren't they playing DeAndre Swift? Why aren't they playing? That's dude, like.
And this coaching staff, they didn't draft DeAndre Swift, so DeAndre Swift is not their guy. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So people are like, "Oh, they spent this high draft." I'm like, this staff didn't.
Yeah, they don't have.
This staff has. They didn't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that Jamal Williams pick too. I remember
Zoom crashed, but I'm back. I don't know if you heard what I said.
No, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
Oh, when I left, I was talking. Honestly, I forget what I was talking about because my Zoom crashed and it completely threw me off. So you didn't catch what I was saying at the end of that there, or no?
All I heard was you said the thing about Anthony Lynn saying the hot hand approach, and that there could be times where.
Yeah. That was the last thing I said.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, no, we definitely agree. We all agree. And we were saying, like, people use the argument like, oh, they spent this high draft capital on him, but it's like, but this staff didn't spend the high draft capital on him. That was a previous staff.
And the difference between that situation and then the Packers situation is, I mean, the Packers situation it was a high scoring offense. So Aaron Jones could at least like do something. I mean, like, it was at least functional for him. If you put Aaron Jones in that same role in the Lions offense, I don't think he's more than, like a long pitch.
With a downgraded quarterback too.
Exactly. So
just a quick question, and you don't have to answer this now. You can even do it on the Discord. Are we going to do a league with like us, just like a standard league redraft just for this year? So
we'll probably do a redraft league closer to the season.
Yeah,
we might even just do a few free ones so everybody can get in if we want to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I just I got to beat up on Pierre a little bit.
We should have a league. Pierre's team sucks. That's gonna be your team name.
Have we put a date?
We should have in one league, a redraft league, where here's the thing about pick one player on the other guy's team, right? Like you get to draw names or something. And
that'd be fun. That would be fun. Here's the thing about the Dynasty League. So, Bill really wanted to wait till after June 1st and Julio got traded, and here we are. It's June 4th, and Julio hasn't been traded.
Any day now.
So I think we still need like 3 or 4 more guys. So I'll probably just post in the Discord and just say, hey, we got the Dynasty League. We need like 3 or 4 more guys, and then
I thought you were gonna auction them off or something. Sorry.
Yeah, but how do I auction them off?
Wasn't it filled up? I thought it filled up.
I thought it was full.
The Dynasty League. Let me see. I haven't looked at it in a while, so it could be. Let me see. So, or if anybody's looking at it, you can let me know. Well, here it is.
Yeah, it's full.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, nice. Then yeah, I guess is everybody in the Discord?
Yes.
Okay, then I guess whenever we're ready, we just got to figure out, do we want to do like a slow draft where you have like an 8-hour clock and you just get basically, you'll get notified, and whenever within the 8 hours you can draft anytime when you're ready.
Yeah, I think that's good. That way it'll allow people to maybe talk out trades if they want to.
Yeah, that's true. Because if you're on the
Trade
clock, you can
picks.
always be like, hey, if you're on the clock, you can always be like, hey, I'm open to trading down. Or if you're on the clock, somebody might reach out to you and say, hey.
Do you mind? So I was going to ask this in the Discord, but I guess I'm going to ask now. Do you mind if I co-host with someone on there? I know. I'm getting a friend into like Dynasty and stuff. So I was hoping he could.
Oh, you mean like co-manager?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no. Go ahead. Yeah.
But yeah. I'm excited for the Dynasty League, see what happens and stuff like that. I think you should randomly do the orders with us 12 and see what happens and see our expressions. Like, oh, I got the 6. Yes. Oh, I got the 3rd.
So that way we could at least mock out where we're drafting from.
Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll make sure everybody, because let's see. So everybody's in the Dynasty League, because I only added people to that channel that were actually on the.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it on Sleeper. Not the.
You mean if they're all on Discord, right?
Yeah. Everybody's in there, right?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I see 11 names.
Let's see. I know Tatum's in there. Is Ale in there?
Yep.
Is Arsenal in there?
No.
Okay.
So he's the one that's missing.
All right, so let me invite him. Is he on the Discord?
Because he's not Matt 45, right?
No, that's Matt.
Okay.
He's actually in the league.
So yeah, he's
the one that I asked him if he believed in Santa Claus when he said J.K. Dobbins could get every target from the Ravens. When he was like, I was like, they only targeted running backs 52 times last year, and he's like, yeah, but J.K. Dobbins could get all 50 of them. I'm like, dude, do you believe in Santa Claus too, or what? Like, come on.
I still think I have the best team name.
What's your team name?
I'll let you read it out loud that way.
What's Arsenal's Discord, or is he not in the Discord?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he's the one person missing.
Let me see if he's still.
I think I've seen Arsenal in the Discord. I just can't think. I think his name's a little different.
Yeah, because like I know Will Pounder, that's Young Money.
Yeah.
Young Money. Let me see. I'll tag him here too.
Well, Nick, I always forget your name usually half the time when I'm talking to you. Because I see it here, but I always see like the lazy eye or
Laser eye, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I know his name. And then I'm like, I forgot it. Just like, I know he's a Cowboys fan.
There's no way you're worse at remembering names than me. I forget people's names all the time, so it's no worries.
We sit here and we roast the GMs in the NFL so badly, but once we have to actually like start making trades, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, I'll have to find him somewhere. I don't think if he's in the Discord, I don't know what his name is, because it's not Arsenal. Maybe is it Mike? We have a Mike? No, Mikey's only Mike. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to find him. But once I get him in there, then I'll set the draft order. Well, I guess I can set the draft order anytime. I'll set the draft order. You guys can start at least knowing, and then we'll figure out when we want to start the draft. And we'll just do the slow 8-hour clock draft.
Yeah, I like the slow idea, especially in Dynasty with trading and all of that.
Yeah. All right. We'll get that going.
Sounds
All
good.
right, sweet.
All right, guys. That's a good discussion tonight, as always.
Yeah.
Good draft.
So if you weren't able to get in this draft, you might still be able to get in Sundays, or Sunday's full.
Let me see.
Sunday's full.
Yeah.
It is full. Okay.
But you know how it is.
Yeah.
Usually a no shit